everybody. Welcome.
What's going on?
Welcome. What's going on? Hola, buenas noches. Can't think of any more languages. What's up? I am here today with Eric Ninaltowski and Clayton Barton, and we are here for another episode of the HELLION ARTSHOW. We're going to be talking about SENTRY, which is your new comic that is kind of everywhere. You guys are on like every platform, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. That's the way to go. I have the Indiegogo linked in the description, but you know what? We can we'll pull up everything. Let's see. Hold on. Let me say hi to the chat. Hi JW Learning. What's up? Hello. Snarky is here. Sarticon. Hi. Yes, I know I'm late, everybody, but that's like my style. That's a trend for this channel. So it's just I've embraced it. To everybody else's disappointment. What's up, Alex? Hello. Hi, some person.
Hey, Alex.
Hi. Hello, Epignosis. Did I get that right? Hello. What's up? Dago Solo. Yay. Konnichiwa. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Konnichiwa. Hi. Hello. Thank you guys so much for being here. Jolly Green is here. Emily Kruger. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Yes. Caleb is here. Hi. Okay. Z Comics is also here. Hello. You guys are awesome. Okay, thank you again for joining us. So, let me just go ahead and get started and pull up your campaign, but, or if you guys want to do that, that's cool either way. But while that's happening, why don't you guys let everyone know who you are? How did you get into this whole comics thing? And then we'll do a elevator pitch on SENTRY.
Sounds
Eric?
good. All right.
Totally.
What's up, guys? Eric Ninaltowski. Good job on the pronunciation, by the way. Not a lot of people are able to nail that. On the
Well,
first
I've got
try.
a Polish name too. I've got a lot of practice.
That's right.
Strakalski,
Polish.
Ninaltowski. The W, that's not how it's actually pronounced in Polish though, right?
I've always pronounced it Ninaltowski.
Ninaltowski. Oh, right, because in Polish it's probably the L with the slash.
I don't know. I'm like 3 generations removed from Poland.
Yeah,
I don't know
me
exactly.
too. So I'm purely bullshitting. Ignore me. Anyways, Eric, who are you, and how did you come about to doing comics and SENTRY?
Yeah, so I've been doing comics for about 15 years professionally. Got into comics as a kid. Just oh man, Eagles, go Eagles! Eagles fan. So I grew up in New Jersey. I'm from that part of the world, but I'm here in San Diego right now. But got into comics as a kid. I loved the X books. I loved Marvel mainly. Kind of the X-Men got me into comics. So just started drawing. Went to art college for 2 years. Finally landed an internship and got my first gig and got published that way back in 2007, something like that. I was just trying to get my foot in the door. Always wanted to land a job with Marvel and DC, and then as everything started just falling apart and crap started happening, it was like, all right, forget that. And heard about Comic Skate, and I'm like, this is what we needed. This is what, we need, like a fan organized, just something to bring back the awesome that was comics. And so back in, 2000 is when I first launched the SENTRY campaign. Did a little book before that, like a kind of, what was it, like an art book, Inktober book, just to kind of get my feet wet, launch something. So that was before that. But so here we are 3 years later, and launching SENTRY Origins. And,
awesome. And
exciting.
Yes, it is.
Exciting,
it's a really
everybody.
Good-looking book. Dango Solo for 10. Thank you so much, Travis. Couple boring questions before you get too into things. Did you go business or individual on Indiegogo? Have a separate bank account for campaign funds? Need an LLC? Well, there's a lot of technical questions here. Okay, I know. I know Dango Solo is going to be launching his own book soon. So this is what I love about the scene, about Comicsgate. It's everybody has a fair chance, and there's so many people who came from chat, who were fans, who are achieving their dreams and becoming comic creators. So Douglas Solis has a book called Wrecked coming out, so you guys should look out for that. I think it's really up to you. I don't think it ended up not really making a difference for me. I do have an LLC. I think it's smart to have an LLC, definitely. And I separate everything, but that's just, oh no, we lost Clayton. Oh no! The money talk pissed him off. I said pissed him off. Just kidding. I think hopefully he'll come back soon. I separate everything, but that's like, it's up to everybody. Everybody does it differently. I do think LLC is a good question. A good choice to go with, though.
I went individual on mine. Yeah, I didn't really look into the LLC thing, though. I did sit down with a guy, and it was probably like a really. There he is. He's back.
Yeah, my camera kept freezing. Well, actually, you guys kept freezing, so I thought it must be something to do with me. It's me, not them. So I decided to jump out and jump back in.
Oh, are we freezing for chat? Because on my end, everything is fine. So chat, let me know, because my internet was weird earlier today. But welcome back, Clayton.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's I have an LLC, even though when you're a sole proprietor and you're not paying like 10 or like 50 employees, it really makes no difference in the end. But I registered an LLC just because if my business does grow and I do hire people in the future, then it's just a good idea to have it. And also, it's just official, and I like feeling like I'm a real publisher. That's so cool. That's the real reason.
I feel like these are questions I should have asked when I first launched the campaign.
No, I was barely cognizant of it as well, but it's not that important. What's important is doing good work and putting your books out, and that's really what matters. Well, thank you so much, Dago Solo, and thank you as always for your support. All right, so that's we heard Eric's epic backstory. Clayton, what about you? I think you've been on the channel before, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been ages. Well, in terms of my relationship with Eric Ninaltowski and how I fold into Hopscotch Origins, or I guess Shadow Sentry Origins as a whole, is I was responsible for doing some layouts for Eric, given the honor, and of course I decided to take him up on that and did the very best job that I possibly could.
It's true.
Yeah, so did I just freeze out then because you guys froze for me? But
no,
was I
totally
continuing
smooth.
to? Well, that's really good. That's great.
You're totally fine. Just keep talking when we freeze.
I'll just pretend then that
you'll just pretend
nothing's frozen.
Fine.
Sweet. Okay, good. Yeah, and it was really fun working with Eric because, he's very nice, one of the nicest people that you will ever talk to begin with. But he also knows how to give direction. He's a man who knows what he wants, which is fantastic for an artist because, I'm just trying to figure it out for him. I'm throwing darts in the dark here, and so unless Eric can tell me exactly what it is he's after, then I'm flying blind. But he's really good at doing that, and that's why I feel like we ended up with a beautiful end product. And then the most amazing part is that he went over the top of those layouts and just brought it all together. He made it Jim Lee level. And so the feeling that I felt when he had brought it up 1 billion levels beyond where it was, surreal, man. Absolutely surreal.
Well,
I wanted to hire him then to just ink my layouts.
So to be clear, who's creating what? It's Eric's property, and then Clayton, you're doing the layouts, and then Eric, you're inking it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, cool. He's doing the finishes.
Collaborative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to back up one step, Shadow Sentry is like the universe, that's the book. So I've done 2 issues of the regular series. So all that's kind of like I did, I created it, wrote it, illustrated it for the first 2 books, had art help with the colors and the letters. Eric Weathers did the letters on all the books. Fantastic guy. Definitely hire Eric.
He's everywhere. Hire him more because he doesn't letter every single indie book ever yet, but we need to get him there.
So after doing the 2 books, the goal was I want to do more stories. I want to kind of, let me hire other talent. And so I was like, all right, I want to do a kind of like a prequel book and go back and tell some origins of some of the characters, 2 of them to be precise. And so I hit up Clayton to do the cover, which is that right there, and he just knocked it out of the park. And as I'm kind of like getting the ball rolling, I'm like, what would really help me is if I had someone to like do the breakdowns and layouts, because that's a big part of doing the pages and stuff. And I was like, hey, Clayton, are you available? Like, could you do this? Because I loved his work, and he was available. So I was like, sweet. And then that's when I got Mark Polton to help me do the scripting. So I had all the plot, figured out. I got Mark to do the script. He gave me the script. I sent that to Clayton, and then he just started banging out these amazing layouts from his Mark script. And you'll see the pages soon. But it came out awesome.
I was just glad you liked them, Eric, because sometimes, you're working away as an artist and you have no idea what the client's going to think. You're just praying and hoping that they're going to dig it. And so there's no better feeling than when you hand in the work that you've been doing for somebody and they actually love it. Like, it hits all of the important points for them. So, yeah. And I appreciate that you thought of me as well to get involved with this project. I mean, that's just nice that you were thinking of me.
You're too modest. You're awesome. You're
What, me?
Yeah.
What?
It's a
Your art is
match
amazing,
made in
man.
heaven. So sweet.
You're gonna get really busy soon. If you're not
I thought it would be an easy gig. Because it was just layouts. I'm like, oh, cool. Someone wants to pay me to do layouts? I can whip those up easy peasy. And then I started working for Eric, and I wanted to give him my best stuff. So they became a little bit more than layouts. They were almost this halfway between point of finished pencils and layouts. What I wanted to give Eric was enough information there so that he could just go straight over the top with his ink, do what he wanted to do as far as the details were concerned without even having to think about it. I wanted to take his stress away so that he could have fun.
Well, dude, I totally am, man. I'm sitting here inking. I'm like, this is amazing. This is awesome, man.
Cool. I hope so. I really do. What's the experience been like, actually? As you've been going over the layouts, you must be a few pages in by now. How has that whole process unfolded for you? Was it as smooth as you thought it would be? Was it kind of weird working over somebody else's stuff for the first time?
Yeah, man. So, my process is similar, where I'll do all the breakdowns, I'll print them up and blow them up in Blue Line. And so I'm doing the same thing with yours. So it's just a matter of, like, right now I'm just trying to find the balance, like, what direction, how much cross hatching do I want to do? And how much of I want your lines to show through, right? So I want your style to come out. I don't want to overpower it with mine, and I want to keep the lines that you have there. So it's just been a fun experience, so just taking, like, kind of what I do normally and just applying that to your work. And I think it's a great blend.
Me too. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a match made in heaven. It looks really good. The results are fucking banging. Who's doing the colors, by the way?
That is Kevin Anthony DeCastro.
Okay, I like the colors as well. This is like an awesome character design. That's Hopscotch, right?
Correct. Yep.
Hopscotch. Oh, what a cute name. Cute and bloody and murdery.
Yeah.
It's my favorite type of character. So, you have 2 books now. Earlier here, it says a 2 stories, 2 creative teams, and I noticed on, so you're on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and Fund My Comic, right?
Yeah. So I just launched the Kickstarter on Monday, so it's like a new campaign.
Okay, so but you have, so this is 2 books, and it says that you have a Hopscotch team, you have the Commander Noble team, so this is actually 2 books, right? In one campaign?
It's 1 book with 2 stories.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the Shadow Sentry universe, basically, so if anybody doesn't know what's going on, basically I took, like I said, I love the X-Men, so I wanted to create a superhero team, and but not having mutants, I wanted to do something different. So I'm like, all right, well, what if people had near-death experiences, and when they come back from the other side, they're bringing these supernatural powers with them. So I created the Highborn and the Hellborn, people that go to heaven and come back, and then people that go to hell and come back. So Hopscotch is the teleporting Hellborn, and then just to level it out, I did Commander Noble. This is his origin story as well. So they're both 24, 25-page stories. Originally, they were going to be 24, but Clayton's art, I was like, all right, we got to do a cool splash page of just Satan. And so we added that page. So now it's 25 pages. So it'll be, 2 stories, 25 pages, and you'll get a Hellborn and a Highborn story, origin story.
Okay, all right. Interesting. Now, and this is the Hopscotch story. So cool! Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
What can you? You don't want to spoil everything, I understand, but like, what? How would you introduce beyond the? Can you tell us more about the characters and what each story is about, like details?
Yeah,
Sort of
for sure.
where's her origins beyond being? Is she a Hellborn?
She's a Hellborn, yeah.
Okay.
So she is. Her story takes place in Japan. She's a high schooler. She's younger. Her dad is a yakuza crime lord, and so she kind of gets caught up in what he's got going on. And obviously, we know she has a near-death experience, but this is how it all takes place. This is how she has her near-death experience and comes back with her powers. And yeah, she's so the cool part about her is she's kind of like this novice of a martial artist, so she's like really good. So you're gonna see in this scene, she like kicks her brother's butts. It's pretty funny. And then but then she gets these powers, and then it's like, all right, well now she's like doubly awesome. So yeah, so you just kind of get to go through and see what she's all about. You get to see her attitude, and then just how she gets her powers. And yeah, I'll leave it there. But it's a revenge story. The Commander Noble story is also like a revenge story. But that one takes place in Afghanistan. So Commander Noble, he goes to Afghanistan after 9/11, and he has his near-death experience, and then he just gets to blow away a whole bunch of Al-Qaeda, Taliban terrorists. So that's going to be really fun. You'll want to check that out.
Hell yeah! I love the eagle pauldron as well. that's pretty epic. So is this? You're obviously building sort of a world with is this an ongoing thing, or are you going to focus on Commander Noble and Hopscotch?
So
or are you going to do like different characters? Sorry.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, I'd like to do more characters. So these two stories, Commander Noble and Hopscotch, it'll take 2 books, 2 volumes to get through their whole story. So this is just part 1. And then after that, I would definitely want to do other characters. And I might do it like as one shot, so you just get one character on those books afterwards. We'll see. But yeah, that'll definitely continue, and then obviously the regular series will continue, and just keep it going as long as I can. That's the goal.
Awesome. All right. Well, what a great start it's off to right now. It's two stories that are about 24 pages. It says right here 52 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
that's for
only
the
100?
That's for the holographic version.
Holographic. Oh, go away, stupid browser thingamajig. Okay, so there's a holographic cover. Let's go through the perks because we're right here as well. Let me stop on an awesome page. Those inks look amazing, by the way. Oh, look at that. The backgrounds are so textural. I love good inking.
It's incredible. I want a black and white version now, Eric. Do we have one? Is
You
there one available?
should.
You can get a black and white version. Heck yeah.
Is that what
This
that
looks
is?
so good.
Yep.
I see it right there. Awesome. Yep. Oh, I love black and white versions. Yes, I love that people are doing that more. Okay, let me stop on like an awesome page. There we go.
Which one to choose? That. They're all awesome.
I know. Well, that's like a big close up of her face, and that's more visible on YouTube. So because the screen is really small. So yeah. All right. Let's go through the perks that you have here. You have the Highborn Special. What is that?
Yeah. So you'll get all the books, kind of like if you back some of the other campaigns, this is a great perk because you'll get all the books. The other variant that I did, you'll get the Fan Art Friday art book, the black and white artist edition, and then also the Ashcan, which is basically just Clayton's breakdowns and layouts, which is awesome. So I did one of these. I gave these out with Shadow Sentry Book 2 as like a preview, so everybody could see like what Clayton did for his breakdowns, and as you could tell, he really went all out. And so I just want to show people what he did.
Wait, those are layouts?
Yes.
Those are layouts?
I told you I went overboard a little bit.
He totally did. I mean, so this is great. So
just say he did pencils.
So the Ashcan will be all of Clayton's awesome breakdowns and layouts, and then this one we worked together on. He did the layouts, and then I inked it. So get that on the back there.
Just say pencils. Those are pencils. my friend.
Well, Eric did add some rendering and spice things up and brought it home. So, I don't know if I'm quite meeting the penciling bar just yet. Maybe next time I'll have to try harder with Eric and he might give me the title. I don't know. Tell me, Eric, what do I have to do?
I think layouts to me are like stick figures and stuff because it's all about the storytelling. But pencils, when you have like the facial expressions and the details, like those are pencils. So of course inks add some more, but I'm just saying.
Facial expressions are important. Totally.
Definitely. Yep. Just
I
throw
I need
some,
to
like,
feel the
prospect
emotion. I need
here
some
and there.
emotion coming through.
and then I'll- Yeah.
Emotive.
So yeah, so you can get and I love looking at the artwork. I love looking at the behind the scenes stuff. So that's why I did this, and I was like, all right, people, I want to see Clayton's book, roughs in a book. So I'm like, I'll make that available as an Ashcan. So yeah, so that'll get you all those books. That's basically all the new stuff from this new campaign. You can get it all right there.
All right, awesome. So that's 3 covers, black and white, and the Ashcan.
Yep.
Love it. It's only 95 too. Holy shit! That's a good fucking deal. Yo, I want to get on that. And you have a digital PDF.
Yeah.
Interesting how 22 claim. All right. I find it interesting how it varies so much what the reception to digital, because I know it's really convenient for especially overseas customers to have a digital option, but it doesn't really work for every campaign, I think. And I don't know what the rule is, but it's nice to offer it. I'm sure this is appreciated with how much shipping is going up now. You guys know shipping is going up again?
Seriously?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the economy, man. It's biting us all in the bottom.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. It's ridiculous. It's also, well, you're in Australia, Clayton, but like US shipping to Australia is so much more than Australia
I've
shipping
heard.
here. And like it's our USPS, I remember 2 years ago, for media mail, it's gone up almost twice since about 2 or 3 years ago, which is insane. Like this stuff adds up. Think about how much that is, because you think it's like,
It's
oh, it's
insane.
like $3 or $4, not a lot. It adds up. It's almost doubled over like since COVID started. So
That's how much it costs to print the book, which just sounds silly, doesn't it?
I spend just as much shipping as production for like every campaign so far, and it's nuts. And I hate it because I don't want to charge people like just as much or more than the book for international shipping, right?
So is it expensive, like super expensive, to send here because of America's postage system or because of Australia's postage system?
I'm
Or
pretty
is
sure
it-
it's because of us. It's because
Yeah.
from what I heard, my post office told me, because I was like, what the heck? They said USPS doesn't ship directly to Australia. So they have
Right.
to go through, as far as I remember, they have to go through somebody else to ship to Australia, or they have to, only limited types of USPS goes to Australia. It's one or the other of these things. So because of that, the price is jacked way up, and I can send one media mail package, like one Gemini mailer, will cost just as much as me sending, a huge box, because it's only one type of service that goes there. Or they go through like a
see.
third party shipping. I don't know why. I thought it was just a COVID thing, but COVID is over. So why is it still so expensive?
Yeah. Yeah, we need fulfillment agencies here in Australia for you Americans so that it's not so pricey.
Yeah, that's what. Well, some people do that. I know Michael did that. Hockey was doing it for a while. He helped me with Fiendish, so that much thanks to him. And that helps a lot. It's still ridiculous to have to like ship a big box to Australia. It's still really expensive, but it's easier to have a distributor. So that's what's great about comics here. There's always people ready to help. But yeah, it would be nice if we could just not have to pay like $60 for a Gemini mailer.
That'd be good. That'd be real nice.
Yeah, that would be really, really. It's absurd because it costs less to ship to like Taiwan than to Australia, and it's about the same, and that's distance. Like, anyways,
Makes no sense, does it?
this
Yeah,
angers me.
Israel is like surprisingly cheaper than a lot of other countries. It's weird.
Really? Oh, we need to port. an audience in Israel now.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, let's do that.
Right. So
This won't be misread in any way at all.
Hyper Potato.
Hyper Potato, I'm back at number 1. Support Eric's comics. He's a great artist. Yes, he is.
Thanks, man.
I'm blaming Clayton. No, it's actually not Australia's fault that our post cost so much to ship there. I was blaming Australia at first, but it's totally not their fault. So this one time is not your fault.
Thank goodness. Yeah, damn Australians.
Yeah, I know. All right. Anyways, besides from our shipping and suffering through USPS, so you have a digital edition. That's great. And here's the black and white edition.
Yep. Only $20.
Okay, for 20. And this is the regular cover, 25. Okay, so the black and white is a little less, and the regular editions, the color editions, are all 25, I assume.
Yep.
Is this lettered, or is it like an art edition?
It will be lettered. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's a add-on as well. So
Cool.
just a heads up.
All right, great. And here's Origins variant A.
Yep. That's my cover. Noble.
And Fan Art Friday art book. Oh, that's an art book. I was wondering why Morgan was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, that's not your character.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Fan Art Friday. For you guys that haven't heard about it, so I do a stream on Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. First one in the chat to drop a name, I'll draw it live on screen, and then you can pay me the shipping and handling, and I'll ship it to you for free, basically. So yeah, so it's a fun time. I've done all kinds of different stuff, mainstream, a lot of CG characters, and yeah. So if you want me to draw your character, come on by, and cost you nothing, and you can watch some cool drawing. So this is a collection of all the art I did in, I think from like 2020 to 2022, something like that. So, yeah, just a fun art book. Yeah, there's some samples down below. There you go.
Yeah, I was trying to see. There we go. Awesome. Art books Kelsey just launched his art book, so clearly there's an audience for it. I love art books, but obviously, because I like looking at art that's better than mine and feeling bad. But that's awesome. Look at that one.
Wait. Do some people not love art books?
Well, I think most what I've noticed, at least, is probably like personal bias with if you have an art book and a comic, that tends to do really well. But it's like people are looking for comics because that's what I think that's what we're here for. But having an art book available with a campaign is great. I think people really like that. It's like a bonus item, and people love seeing extra art and fan art.
Yeah,
I think that's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I do have, in past campaigns, I've also offered an art book, and people pick it up, they'll add it on or whatever, and it goes pretty well.
Awesome. Good job on the logo, by the way. I just realized that's FAF, Fan Art Friday. Well done. Oh my gosh, so clever. I wish I came up with that. All right, Fan Art Friday art book.
I'm not pouching the bar.
Okay.
Oh, hi, kiddo.
Hi, say hi. This is Miss Breenie and Clayton. Say hi.
Hello.
It's pouch in a bar time, so she needs a little pouch in a bar.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
If you need to go for a bit, it's fine.
Oh no, it's all good.
Okay,
I've got
right.
3 older ones that help me tend to her while I'm streaming. So
Oh, that's good. Right, the older
good to have
ones
helpers.
become the nannies after a while. See, that's convenient. It's so cute. Okay, bye, kiddo. Okay.
She always manages to sneak in when I'm streaming.
You're right. Oh no, now I feel like I have to keep my language clean because I don't know if the kids are around. You can swear on this stream, by the way. I don't care.
I've been holding back all this time.
Yeah, I noticed. You can say whatever you want as long as you don't get me in trouble with YouTube. I don't give zero fucks. All right. So, Fan Art Friday art book. This looks amazing. I love this. Who's that character, by the way?
Ash. Back in the day, it was I forget who published it, but it was Quesada, Joe Quesada, and Peter Palmiotti, I think, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a awesome composition. I don't know that character. Hey, it's that's
Cara Dune.
I forgot her name. I was like Gina Carano.
That chick.
Yeah, that chick. So that was half of the reason I watched Mandalorian and why I don't watch it anymore. Also, it
Uh-huh.
sucks. Ooh, there's a close up.
Okay.
All right, love
You
it.
can get the original.
You
want.
can. All right, let's scroll down and see those originals. Book 2 Bloodbane variant.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
I printed 175 of those. That one is character from the book. It's kind of like his transformed state. So I wanted to just have that with the book 2 variants.
Oh,
So, but that's my pencils, William Wolford's inks, and then I colored it. So a little bit of
Wow.
compilation there.
all right. So you do have book 1 and you do have 2 books. Is it also 2 stories in book 2?
No, so that's from the regular series. So you can get book 1 and book 2 on this campaign, and that's from the regular series, regular, first story arc, and then this one is the origins like prequel campaign.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was a little confused. I'm a little slow. Please be patient.
It's all
with
good.
me. And holographic edition. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Look at that.
I wanted to give Clayton's cover like a little extra special touch, and I thought it would look sick as it's kind of like a holochrome. It's not like a 3D lenticular. It's more like just the paper is holographic.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's gonna look sweet.
All
Nice.
right. Yeah, that's so it's not it's not like holographic or well, it is holographic, but it's not
Yeah. The technical
chromium
right.
shiny.
Yeah.
It's holographic. Yeah, it's a little different. It still looks really good though. I've seen
Yeah.
those types of covers.
The technical term I think is holochrome. Like when you go to order it, it's a holochrome. Here, I could show you an example if you guys want to check it out. This is a friend of mine, his book Tragedy. That he did it on the cover, and I thought it looked really sick. So
Oh,
actually,
Wow.
hold on, let me take it out of the bag.
It looks cool.
You guys are making me want to do a holofoil or chrome cover or something.
So you
Oh,
kinda
that's
get
it.
that.
That's nice. It's so shiny.
Yeah, and like you can really tell in the back, like
Oh my god, so pretty.
we're sick. So yeah,
Oh.
I thought this would look awesome on Clayton's cover.
Yeah,
So there you go,
that's awesome.
shiny.
That's a nice cover composition too. Alex says it's not possible for Clayton to show anger. He just keeps all his rage bottled in for outside of streams. He's so chill.
Maybe. I don't get very angry very often, to be honest with you. I mean, I can't imagine what would have to happen for me to get angry enough to, I don't know, throw my phone against the wall or something. You know, some people do that. They get so angry that they'll throw a phone against the wall and break it.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Some people have a
Porcelain
temper.
plates. Yeah. Yeah, no,
plates.
emotions, man.
Everybody's different.
But it's healthy to express them. That's what they say.
Yeah, it
So-
depends. You know, everybody has different modes of expression. As long as you're not throwing people, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Don't throw people.
Just be careful where you blow up too. I lost it at work one day.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
I can't imagine you doing that, Eric. Come on.
I know, dude. I never before, but I was a server in a restaurant downtown San Diego, and like it was like all hell was breaking loose, and like I had a table with like 13, 14 people, and like this new girl was helping me, and like she wasn't helping me, and then it was like towards the end of the day, so like all the food runners were like on their phone talking, you know, the manager's over at her table laughing with the, you know, all the people, and it's like I'm over here drowning, and I was just like, I walked by her table and I just slapped it, and I was like, this is freaking stupid, or something. I just like yelled pretty loud and just
Wow.
stormed off into the back. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I
happened?
mean, it was really unfair though, because I've been in that situation before. Like you're the only person doing your damn job.
Yeah, and that's what it was. And so, you know, she came back and talked to me and was like, you know, don't ever do that again. And I was like, all right, sorry.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Bad man.
Oh well. Yeah. Yeah.
no longer working there. I you know, I didn't leave on bad terms, but like I don't have to worry about that now.
That's good. Yeah, that's the cool thing about working with comics. There's no one there to annoy you except for yourself.
It's true.
Yeah. It's entirely working we kind of like work online. It's like, well, you're not in an office environment, so it's easier to remove yourself. And I'm like, well, that's great because I don't like dealing with people, and now I only talk to people when I want to, and I'm not required to go into an office and like you have to put on the face and act like you like everybody there when you really don't. And just want to leave and go home and draw in your own little dark corner. And now I can do that whenever. It's great.
That's the life, isn't it? Living the dream.
It is. I'm living a dream in my dark little corner. Anyhow.
Smile and spit in their food, says Down Go Solo. I didn't mess with the people's food. It wasn't their fault. It was like just, not getting help and just kind of feeling like, what the heck? Like, where's everybody, So anyway, because, when you get a table that has more than 8 people, they always put a second person on to help you. And like, she was a new girl. Like, she literally, I don't even know where she was. And so it was just kind of like, what the heck? This is stupid,
Right. That's just silly. Well, I mean, it's like, I hope she got a talking to as well, not just you. Yeah.
And what was really annoying? All right. So after that, the manager on duty, she's like, all right, I'll help you. I'll take care of it, blah, blah, blah. And like, literally, if I didn't go back to the table, I don't think anyone still would have helped them. Like, the manager really didn't do anything. And I was like, oh my gosh. So
that sucks.
You just bite the bullet and just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're not working there anymore. We've all been. I think we've all been to those kinds of jobs, though.
Yeah, they're very stressful.
I mean, jobs suck. I hate.
I don't want to work. Work
at a
sucks.
job. Right. I've never. There are good aspects of it, but sometimes the bad aspects, like the egos and the politics, just it's not worth it. It's not worth the stress. Not worth the mind ramage it takes to process it all.
It's sort of. I think that's just how people are, though. But in something like customer service and retail. It really depends on the company, because I've mentioned before that when I was working in certain creative industries, and a lot of creative industries are super unprofessional. When I was working in animation, it was like no better than being a waitress, because I started out waitressing at 14, and I did food service for years, and then I went into animation, and it was really, like just as crazy, just as many egos. It was super unprofessional, and I'm sure not every studio is like that, but I think and you hear horror stories about Hollywood. That's just how entertainment kind of is. It sucks, and I'm glad that here I really feel like there's so much less of it, and like I like the people I work with.
Oh, for sure.
It's great.
Yeah.
It took so long.
It's fun. It's really fun. There's a lot of fun people here in CG, I feel like. Even if there's like crazy things that go on, at least it's entertaining. At least it's entertaining. And you can always just switch the computer off if it gets too much for you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love everybody in CG. You guys are all awesome. And I just
they're all characters.
Yeah, we're all characters, but it's I think we should all get along, because we're here for a common cause.
Oh yeah.
Stay on
I mean, how
target.
boring would that be though? It's like CG is its own comic book. There's plot twists, and there's rivalries and battles, and then conclusions, and it just keeps on going on. You never know what's going to happen in the next issue.
Yeah, I think was Bancroft talking about. I think several people have mentioned there should be a video series about the history of Comicsgate, but there was, I think Bancroft was talking about tackling it, but there's just so much that I don't know if anyone can actually do it. I mean, imagine, I'm sure in like 10 years time, there probably will be some sort of write-up or video series. I remember 10 years ago, this insane thing that happened in indie comics that saved the American comic industry because everything was going to shit in the mainstream.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't wait. Like, that's going to be fun.
The Image era, but the CG era. There's different waves of CG, I feel like. There's like the original wave, and then the next wave that came along, and the wave after that. And there's been some memories. There's been some epics that have happened throughout CG that are quite memorable. People have come and gone. Prominent people, that that really were characters. Like, I feel like, it's sad because sometimes the most interesting and entertaining people, as douchey as they can be sometimes, I kind of miss them. They brought the spice to CG and
Spice.
and gave you something to watch.
Right. Yeah, I'm more of a bit of a newcomer, I suppose, relatively speaking.
Oh, not anymore though. I mean, man, you've built your way up the ranks, and you're very permanently situated in CG now.
Oh, I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for all the support. But I almost I kind of wish I was around in the early days. Seems like fun. I was over in Marvel suffering during that time.
Oh,
Much
man.
rather.
Wow.
I don't know if it's for better or worse, but it is what it is.
Do you feel like people follow you from Marvel over here to CG? Has anyone commented and said like, "Oh, I love your work," and no?
No, like sometimes there's been like it was a very small amount. That was my original plan. I was hoping that's why I work for Marvel, because I never even gave a shit about Marvel. I didn't grow up reading it. I like European comics, and for American stuff it's all IDW and Image, but I wanted to try and build an audience, but it really didn't work. It's really Comicsgate made my dreams come true. You guys are the reason Fiendish happened, and if I didn't put my comic on Indiegogo, I pitched it to publishers. Nobody else wanted it.
Hell yeah.
It's just a weird situation, but I'm glad I'm here now. Hey, Matt Barnes in chat. What's up, Matt? Yo. All right, but enough about me and holy hand grenades. Hello, Helmut Dork. Hello. All right, enough about me. We're not here to talk about me, though. So, I forgot how we got here, but we were talking about holographic covers at one point, and we also have a metal print of that same cover.
Yeah. So 11 by 17. So it's a big boy. I do metal prints a lot. I do conventions, so I'm always printing metal prints, and so I was like, let me do a sweet 11 by 17. And I typically sell them for $60, so I'm giving you guys a bit of a discount. The only thing is I'm only sending them in the United States. So if you are overseas, I do apologize, because it's going to have to be in a big box and shipping is going to be crazy. So, yeah, only in the States. If
Awesome.
You want.
Yeah, that's epic, though. It's huge. It's huge.
Daniel, thank you, man.
Daniel Craig endorses, 007 endorses Shadow Sentry. We're already back Shadow Sentry because Daniel Craig said so. But yeah, I don't see a lot of, I guess I see a lot of metal trading cards, but not that many metal prints, and that's really nice. Shipping, though, is probably the issue, because I had some larger posters, and I just decided I don't want to do anything for campaigns that don't fit in a Gemini mailer anymore, because it really is a pain to ship this stuff, and I mean, it's...
And I would
kudos
ship
to you
this.
for doing it.
This would be like a separate shipping. I would send these out immediately. So, yeah, because like posters and stuff. Like I wanted to fit in a Gemini, so I've done like the folding posters because it fits. You know what I mean? But I don't do like the rolled up posters and all that. But yeah, so
you can do canvas. I am now on the train of doing canvas posters, because you can fold them and you just iron them out when the customer gets them, and they fit in Gemini mailers.
Oh,
bam! I'm spreading the word because I'm very happy with the canvas or cloth posters for my last campaign.
that's cool.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, the metal ones are cool too. It's just
Yeah, and there are other. You can get like the small comic size metals as add-ons too if you guys want Clayton's cover or mine, or there's a few others in there. So
okay, so that'll be easier to ship. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And
so there you go. That's the catch up. So that's book 1 and book 2 from the regular series. Get them both $50. And I'm also doing the second printing for the first book, and that's like going to print this week. Actually, we just sent the files to press. So it's a new cover, and excited about it. It's gonna be awesome.
Fantastic. And basic training bundle, that is books 1 and 2 and Origins, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yep. And you also get the trading cards. If you guys like trading cards, you can get the from the first 2 campaigns. So it's like 1 through 4. All those trading cards will be in there too.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that just for the basic training bundle, or is that?
That is for that one. You can add them on as well, but they come with that one just because it's catching you up on what you missed.
Okay. And get all the metal prints.
Yep.
So there's the one from before.
And these
I
are
assume...
comic size. These are the comic size ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So actually, here's one here. This is from book 2. So this is on white metal.
Yeah.
So,
Shiny.
very shiny, very nice, very nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Comic
I
size.
approve. Awesome. Yeah, those are cool too. I really like comic size prints, and I don't think they're as popular with like everyone else, but I really like them. I like having it on a shelf, and I don't really put stuff on my walls, but yeah, it's nice to just have like a display. Display.
I don't have any wall space in here, but I do have a lot of shelves, so I can put them on the shelves.
They double, so like comic size mini prints or metal prints or whatever, they double as backing boards. So that's also a cool thing where you can just store them with the comics, but you have like a pretty backing board. There you go.
It's true.
And Ash original art, is it just that piece? Or oh yeah, it is. It's a one-off thing.
Yeah. So that's from Fan Art Friday. I did that piece there. The other one on the left is from Malin's Visions book. So that's Lilith riding a tiger. And some graveyard shift in the background. So that one's a double page spread. But you can get that original, and then also below that is the Shelby and myself. We did a jam piece, and I inked his characters from Ragetality, which came out awesome.
Fantastic.
So there you go.
And then you have the big bundle.
Yeah, so that's all the books plus the medals from this campaign. So I don't think it has the catch-up stuff, though, with book 1 and book 2. But it has all the other stuff.
Yeah, I don't see it on the thumbnail.
Yeah.
No, you have the variants, the black and white art book, Ash can, and the metal prints is what I see on the thumbnail.
Yep.
And more original art. Here's the Ragetality gem piece. Why hasn't this sold yet? Y'all get on this. This is super affordable for original art. It's only $3.50. Come on, we gotta get on this.
Yeah. Wait, you inked that, Eric?
Yeah. Yep. Shelby sent me the layout or the blue lines, and then I printed it out and inked it.
Amazing. You're a really good inker.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, and Shelby's his pencils are really tight too, which made it very nice. But that was fun, man. Inking is fun. It's like kind of
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks very similar to Shelby's inks. Like that's his aesthetic. You really captured it well.
Cool deal.
Are these are nibs, right? That looks like nibs.
I use Copic, the little multi-liners.
Oh, really?
Actually, it's the micron pens. So I use like the brushes for my holding lines, and then I do everything else with the microns.
All right. Interesting. I'm actually trying to go back to nibs. I'm thinking, don't hold me to it, guys, but I'm thinking of doing pages traditionally for my next book. And I'm like, yes, no, nibs, don't want to deal with a mess again. It's the little original art. I'd have that. That'll be great. But anyways, very cool. This is really good inking. That's beautiful. And Shelby is Shelby. Shelby is now Shelly, everyone. It's an awesome artist.
Heck yeah.
That turned out well. Everyone get on this original art. And the Visions piece. Is this all you?
Yeah, I did all that artwork.
Oh, I love it. All right, so I don't know if you're gonna hear some banging, it's because people are putting off fireworks. I have no idea why. Please ignore them. I love that. So look at all that detail on the rock and stuff. Beautifully done. And 500. Is this a double spread?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Only 500. Come on, everyone.
Get some.
Get some. All right, and then you have the draw-in tier that is sold out.
Yeah.
I love the thumbnail. That's great. So you can't get that anymore. And then we have the stretch goals. All right. 10K hopscotch trading card. 15K to 6 a.m. comic sticker, because of course everyone needs a 6 a.m. comic sticker.
Thank you.
20K Noble sticker, also by 6 a.m. 25K, there's a Clayton Barden and Eric Ninaltowski 6x9 mini print.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And
Gotta love that.
This is for all backers, right?
Yeah. Well, except the digital baggers. Yeah.
Right. Makes sense. That makes sense. And 20K Akira, the Iron Demon, gets his own trading card. That's a trading card. And 35K, there's another sticker. All the stickers. I love the stickers. And 40K is a hopscotch metal bookmark. Look at this. He got everything planned out. So we're going to get to 60K, right? It's just going to happen. Yeah, tonight. Exactly. Tonight. 40K, you've got another bookmark. And 50K is 10 pages of extras and art for the holographic limited edition. That's a good idea.
Yeah, because so the company I'm going to have those printed with, if you want to do a perfect bound, it's got to be 60 pages. So, so if we get to 50K, I'll add 10 extra pages, do some cool behind the scenes stuff, and then we'll go to perfect bound. So, and that's just for the holographic cover. All the other books will be perfect bound. So.
Okay. Yeah. I think upgrades to books and like people love extra pages. I think personally, I like those as stretch goals because trading cards and stickers are awesome, but just making the actual book better, I think that's a really good decision. That's a great stretch goal to have. Yeah.
And then the 60K though, I really would love to add some blood to that black and white cover. I think that would be sick.
Oh yeah, that does look sick. On just the black and white, but with the red. Yes, yeah. You should make the title red too.
Oh yeah, good idea. All right, I will do that.
Okay.
That would look better.
It would all match and it would all come together. But yeah, that looks awesome with just monotone, right? Or duotone, whatever it's called.
If we just do the red, then it'll be monotone, which I think it would look cooler.
Right,
yeah,
technically.
Look at that
black, red.
Yeah.
Yes, good blood splatter too. I appreciate a good blood splatter.
Splattering up the place. Hopscotch, she's lethal. You don't want to mess with her.
She does seem that way. What's the background behind her name? Why is she called Hopscotch?
So her mom is American, and so her mom is like the fun chick. Her dad is Japanese, so he meets her, and she's just totally different. She's American, and so she's like the fun one, right? He's the crazy crime lord. She's the fun one, and so her and Hopscotch. Well, her name is Katerina. They've always had a connection, right? And so, and the whole hopscotch thing is basically her mom would play hopscotch with her as a kid, and so she takes that on because she loves her mom, but and then so she's got like the dark side and then also the fun side. So, and then her power is teleportation, so she kind of like hops from place to place. So I thought it was super fitting.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I never got that.
Yeah. Awesome. Cute but deadly. Once again, I'm a fan. And 65K will hire an artist to do some really amazing art for a print. Okay, so that's a print that is to be announced.
Correct.
For the artist. And then 70K.
We got to get the 60K tonight, and then we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So we're gonna get a 60K right now tonight. It's gonna happen. 70K Akira the Iron Demon die cut sticker headshot. So this is another sticker for 70K. All right. And then book 2. Oh, here are testimonials. Look at that.
There's Daniel Craig right there. There he is. There's his review.
Daniel Craig. All right. I like having this. I don't think I've seen anyone else put testimonials on the campaign. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I will be henceforth hounding my backers for quotes after book 2, so I can use your testimonials for my future projects. And blah blah blah. We know we're gonna get this book. You've fulfilled books before, so no worries there. All right, let's see where we are. We have 17,645. Let's get to 18,000. Okay, I would love, as much as I would love to get to 60,000 tonight. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. I have faith. I know you guys in chat are going to get Shadow Sentry to 60K, but for tonight, can we aim for 18,000, please?
We can do it.
We can do it.
I think the chat can do it.
Yeah. I should start taking shots.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help. It's not like I sure need a drink anyways. Lord
Every
knows
time
I need a drink.
Yeah, every time someone backs.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's refresh. You know what? I will do that.
Great.
If we every time the backer count goes up, I'll take a shot. I need a drink anyway because I'm dealing with more issues. Not like my issues. You know, I know I'm crazy, but not that crazy yet. It's like house stuff and like all kinds of other crap with friends and that I'm not going to air out. But yeah, I could really use a shot or two. So here, let's
It helps with issues. It helps.
It does. It did go up. Okay, I'm gonna go get my booze and hold on. Let me check if I shared the screen because let me play the trailer while I'm going to get some happy juice. And then let's get this party started. Can you just share a window? You can't share a window and then share audio. StreamYards. Yeah. Come on. You make my life so difficult. Wait, did I even do that right? Did I do that right? I think I did that right. Okay. Can you hear that?
Yep.
Okay.
Can hear it.
All right. Pew. There we go.
Unhappy, uneasy, dissatisfied, there is a great disturbance, causing affliction, to this frail and broken mind.
Yeah! Well done. I think you guys are muted. Wait, did Clayton leave again?
I did, but I'm back now. It didn't help. I thought if I restarted Chrome entirely, that would fix the situation. But still, you're freezing up on me. It's okay, though. I can just make up the conversation that I missed when I get back real time.
It's more fun that way.
And I was muted, talking stuff.
You
no
were. I was like, it's awkward. Everyone's so quiet. It's fine. It's fine. That was a very nice trailer. And here we go. I've got my black heart here. Who is putting on? Can you guys hear the fireworks?
No.
Okay. Well, that's just me then. It's really loud on my end, but I'm glad it's not coming through the mic. Yeah, really nice trailer. That was banging.
Cool. Yeah, a friend of mine, he sent me some tracks, and that's his music. So I'm like, dude, this will go nicely. So.
Clayton's rage is building.
My rage is building a little bit. Technology, man. What can you do?
Oh, do you feel the anger? Oh
I
my
can
gosh.
feel it. It's brewing up inside of me.
The
Yeah.
rage. The rage.
I've never felt this level of emotion before.
He's about to smash his whole table, trash the camera. All right. Well, while we're waiting to see if all 87 people watching now are going to back this book, and I know you are, I have faith, but it's going to take some time while you're making your selections for your perks. What are I'm curious, what are your plans for the series going forward? You said you want to do more books, but is this something that is completely written out, like a long form thing, or is it an episodic thing that you just like to continue on if there's interest?
So I have the first story arc laid out for sure. I have kind of like basic plans for the next story arc after that. So, but the first 4 books that'll compile the first story arc in the regular series. But what I'd like to do with the origin stories is, as I'm telling like these backstories, you're gonna get introduced to new characters, and so they actually show up in the second story arc. So the purpose of this book is like twofold. I get to show new characters, and then also when you see them in the second story arc, you're gonna be like, oh, I know these guys, I know their backstory and how they kind of, how they get into the mix. So that's the plan. So it is ongoing, but again, as long as people are interested, I'll keep making the books, and we'll just keep going.
All right.
So
that sounds good. That
Nice.
sounds, you've got a plan there.
It's exciting.
Hey, it's Phil. What's up? Hello.
Yo, Phil, what's going on, man?
Yo.
Still waiting for our rematch so I can beat you again in the CG wrestling competition.
Are you coming to Tampa? Because I know Bancroft is. I know it's like super far. It's probably not tenable. Or Clayton doesn't want to answer.
Wait,
Mine-
you froze at some point. Say that again.
Oh,
See,
man.
I'm looking real cool now because
You're just ignoring everyone.
yeah. But no, ask that again because I want to hear the question.
Oh, I asked if are you coming to Tampa, because there's apparently going to be an arm wrestling match in Tampa. I've been hearing rumors about this.
Say that question really quickly again because it
Are you coming to
literally.
Tampa? Tampa Bay Comic Con. Are you coming to Tampa?
Tampa Comic Con.
Yes.
Is that in America? Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're kind of
Yeah.
far. I know.
Yeah, you're a little bit far, but I don't mind traveling long ways. But I don't like going to. Well, yeah, maybe one day. I'd love to come to America. I think it'd be cool. I could hang out with Eric Ninaltowski, have some shots with Rainey. Me and Malin could catch up and find some nice weed or something, and we'd have a good old time.
It'll
Great.
be fun. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Yes, Tampa.
So it's at a Tampa Comic Con.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Comic Con. That's the end of July. It's Garden State was a bit of a CG get together. Apparently, Heroes was too. Now I feel bad for not going because I didn't have a great time last year. So I was like, fuck it. I guess Heroes isn't my thing anymore. It used to be fun, but it was all like kind of awkward last year. Wasn't that many comics theater, and some people I used to know weren't talking to me. So I was like, it's bad vibes.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
People actually aren't talking to you? Why? Just because you're CG now?
It's like a couple of people. It's like everybody. Okay, I'm just being honest. Everybody who actually has talent and is there for the comics didn't give a shit. But as soon as like the crazy weirdos came about, everybody got scared and wouldn't talk to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many weirdos are actually out there? Because sometimes I never know. Ever since Elon Musk started buying Twitter and taking it over, I've started seeing more people who share our sense of them out of the woodwork, and it seems like there's an even balance now, or maybe even a majority of people are actually really cool, and it was just always the minority of strange, weird opinions that were trying to censor everything we wanted to do. I think they were the minor majority with loud mouths. So that's what my general consensus is. But if you're actually at a physical event, Is it? What's the weighting like there? Is it like half crazy people, half really cool people, or is it just like 5 crazy people and then the rest are all pretty cool?
I think just society, but also comics in general, the vast majority of people are cool as hell. And I don't know if they follow current events or culture to really have the same sensibilities as us. I feel like because we're probably all terminally online and we're more tuned into what's going on. But I think even the regular person is noticing it. And so I think regular people are really sane and they
For
are
sure.
just they're pretty logical and they don't really if you explain things to them and honestly, and I've been saying this, it's not even about left or right or that it's not about that in like the American sense, like Republican or Democrat. Most of my friends are liberals. It's really about there's some crazy extremists, and those people they're not liberals. They're just crazy, and that's the real problem. And so normal people are normal, but I think it's very much I see. All the really weird stuff in culture and sort of like the Twitterites and Tumblrites. It really seems like it's like Tumblr spilled over onto Twitter and then took over all of society and all of politics. It's a very small proportion of people who have there. It's really an elitist ideology. These people are mostly born in wealth. They are all way better off than I was, and it seems like they think they have the moral high ground. They don't want to shove their ideas down everybody's throats and censor everyone, and that's where it's coming from. But it's a tiny minority, and I'm 100% sure of that. So at conventions, that's the dynamics that I notice. It's totally a minority. Most people are totally cool. I didn't get anyone like confronting me per se. It would just I definitely noticed some things were awkward.
Yeah, for sure. And it is those awkward moments that stick out to you the most sometimes as well, which turns it into a bigger deal for you than it really is sometimes. But
yeah, because I don't have a problem with anybody, but
it just
it's
takes
like,
one person to ruin your whole day, doesn't it?
You're right. Yeah, I want to get along with everybody. I really do, but I don't understand why we should be even talking about this because it should be about the comics. We should be putting comics first. Nothing else should matter. And I wish we can go back to that.
Yeah, I remember
sorry about that.
I remember when I first joined Comicsgate. I was hearing about people getting like socked upside the head at conventions with like locks inside of socks, and just people getting decked out of nowhere. And
really, did that happen?
Did that happen?
That's what I heard. Yeah. So
what I heard. So what I heard was I knew about. I heard after the fact about like the crazy Facebook DM rooms of mainstream creators who were planning to stalk and antagonize Richard Meyer at conventions. So I know about that, and we've all seen the night letters, the people SJW is trying to cancel Comicsgate creators from conventions, which is still happening. Like, who's that guy Scott Kurtz, that joke, who was tweeting at Garden State Comic Con and bitching about, you need to like be on the right side of history or something and get rid of these Comicsgate creators, which is ridiculous because like I don't think anyone that's Comicsgate or even disagrees with sort of people that colloquially woke, people who are kind of weird and have taken over fandom. I don't want to censor any of these people. That's the honest truth. They can go make their comics. I just don't think they should be changing what's already been established. And I think that it should just be fair. It should be about merit. And I think that's completely reasonable. They're the ones trying to cancel us. And it's weird that we're being framed as bigots. So I think a lot of people that are in our sphere now were pushed out of the mainstream, like Ethan and John and Shane, or it was either they were pushed out or they were like how do you say, ostensibly or literally, or it was like they were actually told that we can't work with you anymore, or it was that things just became so insufferable that you don't want to work there. That's also a way of pushing someone out, and that's what they do. They'll say, well, you quit, but you made the discrimination so insufferable in the workplace and with your peers that you have no choice but to leave because it's just become so toxic. And I've definitely seen that. I think so many entertainment companies I've worked at are really toxic, and if you disagree a little bit in a lot of these really woke spaces, they will just make things absolutely horrible and insufferable for you and push you out. And it's all
For
coming
sure.
from one side. And if it was coming from like, I don't think that's healthy no matter where it's coming from politically, right? Because it shouldn't be about any of this stuff. Nobody should be censored. It should be about merit and work, and the work, and the people with the most sway in the comics industry should be the people who make the best comics. But that's not what's happening right now.
That's what I think. Totally. I mean, I really wonder sometimes, what are the opinions of those, OG 90s dudes like Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri? How hooked into this political tornado are they? Do they really care? Are they just doing their own thing, just going with the flow a little bit? Sort of, maybe they got 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, I don't.
Or do they just leave it up to their marketing teams to figure that out? Like, I feel like Todd McFarlane's just thinking about Spawn all day. Right. And then anything to do with image, he's just like, all right, you manage this stuff, okay? I don't want to think about it.
Probably. I think when you're at that level, I think we have to be tuned into it more because we haven't made it like these guys have. We haven't made it like Liefeld and McFarlane. And like
I think Liefeld's pretty into it.
He's pretty.
He seems to have
it,
some
though.
Opinions.
Yeah, he seems to actually be tuned into it. And some people that you've got a lot of like the OG old masters like Steranko is based as hell. Like he's really outspoken about his politics. So and there's a few others out there. Was it I don't recall exactly, so I don't want to like misname anybody. But it's some people are definitely tuned into what's going on, but I think a lot of the older sort of people in the industry who are like the like old masters, like I said, or who have been in it for a long time, they kind of didn't have to deal with it as much as us, and a lot of them are waking up to it now. But because when you have to deal with trying to publicize yourself and being online and trying to put your work out there, and in my experience, because I was trying to make it, so my experience is different than someone who even a generation before me, like I think Sean Gordon Murphy and probably like Eric Canetti and like that generation of artists were like it's a little before me, right? Because when I was in art school, they were coming to my art school and doing talks and demonstrations. And even when they got in, the industry was totally different. But when I was trying to get in the industry, the same things didn't work that worked for them and worked for everybody else before didn't work for me, because it was no longer about your work. It was kind of about who you were friends with and all kinds of like weird check boxes, and you like slowly notice that after a while. So I think like people who are coming in to the industry or trying to just put an indie book now or trying to market online notice it more than someone who's been established for decades. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. I almost feel like that's how it is in almost every job. You know how we were talking about those real jobs before? I feel like it seems to be that if you know the right people and you got the right connections, that's how you get your foot in the door. I know that's definitely how it worked for me when I was in video games and teaching. It's just like you hop from one to the other because you've got people who work at all different companies that you've crossed paths with before, and so they can always get you in the door. But sometimes you actually get into these jobs, and I found this especially with the video game industry. It was very much like comics, and probably Gamersgate was going down at the time when I was in there.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Because
people trying to make everything unsexy. I didn't understand why. How does that make sense? De-sexifying everything will make you less money. Don't you want to make money?
Right. Yeah. This is very interesting because I did work in gaming for a short while, but it was never AAA gaming. But I'd love to hear your experience on that. What time frame were you working in gaming, and what was it? What was it like?
It was probably like I would say around 2014, 15. And so, and I had been on and off at different places throughout that time. Maybe it was more like 2014 to 2017. And my experience was pretty naive because I didn't know all this political stuff was really going on. I wasn't that tuned into it. I didn't know much about Gamersgate, had no idea what it was. I knew that it existed, but I didn't look much into it. And so people would be saying all of these weird things in the studio about, just essentially making everything boring, making it less violent, making it less sexy, and it just didn't make any sense to me. Like, don't you want it to look good? And
Right.
so I would be outspoken just because I would bring that up. I would just create these comparisons. Hey, if you got something that looks beautiful and gorgeous and is cliched to an extent, something that people can tap into and relate themselves with almost instantly, and then you've got this new thing over here that's boring and watered down as hell. Why would you go for that? And so I found myself, the next day it'd be like, yeah, we don't need you anymore, you're all good, you can go now. But that was a really lame that I didn't like working at anyway. And then
God, seriously?
there was other studios out there that were really cool to work at, but you'd get like one or two guys who were just complete wankers who had a position that was a tiny bit above you, but because it was a tiny bit above you, they thought that they were your boss and that they could just tell you what to do and how to do it. And I remember this one guy. I said that I was reading a book at the time by, I think the name was Ayn Rand, and I was listening to the audiobook, and I really liked some of the philosophies in that, some of what they were saying. It was basically like, hey, if you work hard, then you will get used paid. And if you're somebody who just tries to take and never offer any value, then you don't really deserve anything because you're just taking instead of giving value. And so anyway, I really liked that. And I brought it up.
Ayn is utilitarianism.
For sure, yeah, exactly. And yeah, I was just bringing it up innocently. I was so innocent at that time until, and this guy was just like, I don't, that's a little bit leftist, isn't it? Because in Australia, we're left. The right is left. And the left is right. Yeah, they mix it up a little
really?
bit. So what he was really
I didn't
saying
know that.
is, yeah, that's a little bit right winged.
Right, so it would be like, in
yeah.
America, you would say, well, that sounds awfully right wing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, what are you talking
bad
about?
Person-ish. You're talking about merit and being of use to society. That's really, really Republican or right wing. Or
This same guy, I remember we were out having drinks after work one time, and I was talking about the history of my girlfriends. I said, oh yeah, my exes and stuff. And he's like, hey, I just got to stop you there, Clayton. I don't like the way you call them your girlfriends.
what?
Your
they
ex.
are.
It's like you think you own them or something, and I'm like, what are you on, dude? Are you serious? Like, what else am I supposed to say? These people that I was seeing once upon a time.
I know, that's so dumb, right? Yeah.
And it's just so censored. Like, how can you navigate throughout life without getting in trouble at all in that kind of world? It's
These
so
are
silly.
people who have 100%. It's silly, and I swear, these are people that don't have enough problems, real problems in their life. And I think humans it's like the Matrix. Humans, the first iteration of the Matrix was too perfect, so people rebelled. And like we need a certain level of conflict. And I swear that in a lot of Western societies, things have gotten so good that people need something to fight for. Because the truth is, civil rights and gay rights and women's rights we won the fight, and things weren't perfect. I think the late 90s, early 2000s, that was a time where things were really good, and things weren't perfect, but it was pretty good, and we were on the right trajectory in general in the West. But because it's kind of like my generation and millennials, and probably, Clayton, are you a millennial?
I was born in 1990, so
Oh yeah.
I think that makes me a millennial. I think they kind of mess around with the timelines a little bit, so you never quite know. I could
you're a
be
millennial.
yeah.
We're about
I
the
think
same.
yeah, cool.
But
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of like our generation didn't have anything to really fight for, so they're like, we need to find problems and make
Right.
things up and twist the truth to have something
So
to fight
true.
for. And it's just sad, and I don't know what the solution is, because I understand. I really think a lot of people who have become insane leftists, they originally had good intentions. They want to make the world a
Yeah.
better place, but it's partially, we have a whole generation of people in the West who had nothing left to fight for. At the same time, there was an ideology, and I don't really know what it comes from. I follow James Lindsay. He talks about how a lot of what is colloquially called woke ideology came from the Frankfurt School, and it was from postmodernism that was kind of merged with Marxian ideology and was tailored to a Western sensibility. So that's why a lot of conservatives, or just people who are anti-woke, call it Marxist, and people on the left don't understand, because they're like, well, it's not Marxism, it's not communism, it's not economic. No. It's Marxian, because the idea is you're taking the idea of a bourgeoisie and a proletariat and applying it to race and gender and and sexuality and all these inborn characteristics, and you're restructuring society according to those classes. It's Marxian, it's not Marxist. So if you look into this stuff, it makes sense, but I'm not really clear on how it became so permeated in Western culture. It's probably, I've heard that it's a thing that came from academics, from academia. So it was something that a lot of insane college professors were kind of like, let's play around with this fun thought experiment about postmodernism, and they're just bored in their ivory towers, and this is why it's really an elite ideology. It was a bunch of people who had nothing better to do, who didn't have enough problems to solve, and they're like, we need to solve problems, otherwise our life has no purpose. So they come up with this whole idea about we need to all of us, society is broken, and we solved everything, but we haven't really. There are more problems, so let's frame the entire history of the West as a complete failure, even though it's the most free place in the entire world. And trust me, it really is. If you actually have any perspective living in other parts of the world, you know this. And then it's seeped through society and it's permeated a whole generation. And it's really terrible, because it's hard to critique, but I think we need to critique it, because it's different. It's one thing to say things aren't perfect, we should continue working towards something that, like, a small L liberal society and fairness and equality and justice, versus this twisted ideology that says they're for fairness and justice, but they're not, because they're for a restructuring of society. They want to treat people differently based on race and based on gender, and that's not what we were going for originally. That's not actually civil rights.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
go ahead, Eric.
Well said. Yeah, no, I totally agree with all that. And
Oh, alcohol really gets me going. I think I need to take another shot. You got some more baggers too. Let's refresh again. This is why I should drink more.
That's great.
Okay, I'll take another shot. You did get another bagger.
no, I was just gonna say, like, and you know, and don't shut up about it either, because like that's really what they want us to do, is to just shut up and be quiet and sit down in the corner. You know, they don't want debate, right? Because when we do debate, we destroy all their, you know, made up whatever lies and all that stuff. But
So easy to do that. And it's
Yeah.
so funny to watch how quickly it all breaks down.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And I think it's really sad, because and this ties back into comics, but I think it applies to other industries that we were talking about as well, or just society in general. I see so many people, and honestly, I was there for a while, because I was really weirded out by the environment I was in when I was at Marvel, and I'm still not a very political person, but I was becoming more and more tuned into what was going on, and I just realized all these people that I kept on being paired with to work with on these comics I didn't agree with them, and it was like a really weird vibe where it felt like, well, I had to agree with them, and they were making a lot of assumptions about me. It was, because I'm a woman, and I'm sure that I was only put on books with girl leads and stuff like that, and not that I'm complaining about getting work, but in the long run, I think that if this whole idea of, well, we need to represent, it's so hard to talk about because it's like, well, it's not that representation is bad, but what I experienced was that because I'm a minority and I'm a woman, I only got put on leads that were minorities or women. And
Oh, really?
all the job offers I got before Comicsgate were either in the mainstream, it was with like Marvel, and with some other publishers, it was on 95% of the time, it was, we have a book that's like a YA book that has a girl lead, and then anything outside of that, the indie books were, hey, we have a book with a Chinese character, and that's literally, I have nothing against my heritage, but that's not my interest at all. I want to draw fantasy. I like Western fantasy. I really like Vikings. Have you noticed I like Vikings? And nobody asked me that. And when I would draw my own stuff, like the sample pages I gave to Marvel were Spider-Man and Punisher, but nobody gave a fuck about that. And it was just this absurd thing where it was like they want representation, which is a noble goal, but they weren't doing it in an organic or healthy way, and instead they were just treating people differently based on their skin color or gender or whatever. And I found it just weird and toxic, and more importantly, there was a permeating sense of you can't really speak out against it. It wasn't about you can speak your mind, you had to have the right politics, and you had to please the right people, and the people that you had to please weren't the ones, again, who were actually good at making comics. And that was just so weird and honestly gross.
Yeah. It's I feel very divisive, their maneuvering. And you know what? Oh, look at that. Beautiful. That's very
Have you
medieval.
not seen this? It's
I haven't seen it before.
I got it in Iceland. Look. It's Aegis HELLION.
That's cool.
My sigil, and there's this, and then there's my Mjolnir. Yeah.
Looks like it gives you special powers when you drink out of it.
Does. It's my little goblet.
It's a mini goblet.
I have powers. Iceland was awesome. I'm going to go back. But again, Viking stuff. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's cool. What was I going to say? Yeah, I feel like this stuff happens all the time throughout history. All this political ideologies popping up here and there, wanting to change the direction of society, and sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't. But I think this stuff really started ramping up, around 2014-ish? And what had come into play about 4 years before that in a big way? Well, Facebook was really starting to build upon itself. I guess we had MySpace before that, but no one had really figured out what to do with that. They were still busy customizing their pages, figuring out what music tracks they were going to stick on them, right? And then Facebook came along, and then Twitter and Tumblr and all of those other social media networks, YouTube as well, was really taking off. And I feel like that fanned the flames, and that's why it has gone to such a crazy place now, where society has become divided. And not only has it become divided, but the divisions have started to eat themselves, right? Cannibalize themselves, and call each other out because of this reason or that reason. Like, if you look at the left right now, there are so many conflicts within the clan that they have created.
Oh God, yes.
Where it's almost inevitable that if you're on the left, at some point you're going to get cancelled anyway.
Right.
At some point you're going to get ousted.
It's all the triggered people now getting triggered because of the other triggered people, and it's like,
you know what it is? It's a hypocrisy. That's what it is. It's like your own ideals eat themselves because they simply can't work objectively.
Well, there are no set rules because, and Britt Weinstein and Heather Hying, who is there, they also have an awesome channel and podcast that you should definitely follow. And they're self-identified progressives who have gotten sick of this current iteration of crazy ideology. And I really love their critique because they're evolutionary biologists and they got canceled. They're progressive professors who got canceled from their job at a really liberal college because they spoke logic basically. And this was around the same time that as when Jordan Peterson got canceled or for just saying, well, forcing people forced speech is wrong, and the same thing essentially happened to Brett Weinstein, Heather Heying. But what was I getting at? They mentioned how it's a purity spiral, and it's really a moral panic and a purity spiral. That's what's actually happening to society, and because you're right, the ideology in itself doesn't have an end goal. Because what is the end goal? What is your end goal? The end goal is clearly not equality. It's probably equity. So that's the end goal. But I don't even believe that will be the end goal, because it's about just finding more problems. The actual goal, they cloak themselves in this language of we're fighting for equality, and now they're starting to come out and say, no, we want equity because equity is historical justice. No, don't fall for that. What they're asking for is not justice, that's revenge. That's wrong. That's not what Western society and America is supposed to be about. We want equality and justice, not fucking revenge.
Yeah.
And because the ideology in itself doesn't have actual goals or any logic to it, it's very emotion based, because they want to pander to people's emotions and tell them, well, if you feel a certain way, then your personal truth is the truth. And because that's the only way their ideology wins, because there is no actual logic to their argument, right? They want to tell you that if you feel oppressed, then you are oppressed, even if it logically doesn't make sense. If you feel like this is a microaggression, then that's valid and that person should be punished. It's all about your feelings, not about objectively what happens. And not only that, if you're in a protected class, your feelings matter more than everybody else's feelings. And because it's completely based on feelings, there are no set goalposts. So the goalposts keep on moving. And that's why it's such a mess right now in the progressive sector of politics, or in the left in general, because even people who, it's like, I think a lot of people on the left side of American left, on the left side of American politics, kind of fell for it because, being empathetic sounds like a good thing to support. You want to be empathetic, you want to be nice to people, you want to be polite. We'll use people's pronouns. That's just a polite thing to do. But then it gets into insane territory, like biological men beating up women in women's sports, but you're in a trap. You can't speak out against this because now you're surrounded by people that'll cancel you if you say anything that pertains to logic and reason. And the goalposts keep moving, so a lot of these people they've put themselves in a complete trap where there was no avoiding all this infighting.
Yeah,
it's
for
a purity
sure.
spar about, well, I'm more progressive than you, and like you're not progressive enough, and it's just complete bullshit. And I do, to be fair, I definitely see some of it in the American right as well, and it's equally insufferable, and I think that's completely unhelpful. I really don't care either way. I just want some sanity back, and I'm anti-censorship. I want everybody to be able to speak. I don't want any stupid, illogical policies, and I want us to return to sanity and maybe less taxes. I really hate paying taxes. It's really getting to me, especially now that I'm a business owner. But that's really all I give a shit about. And politics have gotten so insane that you can't ignore it almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right about that with the craziness on both sides, because especially when you saw what was happening with the cops and the pandemic and all that other stuff, it's like, okay, I was definitely seeing propaganda on both the left and the right, and that was why it was so important for me as a human being with some brains to actually think about it logically. Like, you can't just buy into dogma just because it's your side. You've got to really logic your way through it and figure out whether or not it makes sense. Otherwise, you're buying into a religion that anybody could have come up with, right? And yeah, you saw people just who had big YouTube channels, big audiences, who were trying to get in on the action and get some viewership happening.
That's true. That's true. I think there are certainly people on all sides of the political spectrum tapping into the drama because, oh my God, can you imagine how bad things are going to be next year is going to be a shit show, guys.
Is it really? What's going to happen next year, Rainey? I want to know.
Well, you see, we have this little thing called the presidential elections in America. And because Americans can't shut up about our politics, and apparently we have to bother the whole world about it, we're just, oh, hi, kiddo. And the internet is like, the YouTube and Twitter are based in America. So it's just going to be completely insane because it's going to become World War IV or something. Hi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Can I full screen you guys? Oh, you're so cute. Hi.
That's Rini. Say hi, Rini.
Hello.
Where'd she go? Hey, hold on. She'll be back. She wants to see Rini. There she is,
Yeah.
right up there. Say hi.
Yeah.
There's Clayton right there. Say hi, Clayton.
Hey, how you doing there?
Can you say
Doing
hell
all
chat?
right?
Hell chat.
Hell. We're looking
There
at
you
your
go.
dad's comic. Your dad's comic is really good.
Cool. So what do you need, baby? Is it time for night? Is it time for sleep? No, not time yet. All right.
She doesn't want to go to bed.
Okay. I love you.
Aw, so cute.
Go run. Play. Have fun.
She's grumpy.
Here,
So
I'll
adorable.
be right back. Let me see what she needs.
No problem.
Yeah,
No
go
problem.
ahead.
Totally understand. To get
Yeah.
ready to baby fever. Oh no, right. Apparently I'm at the age where I'm supposed to be having baby rabies. This hasn't happened yet. I don't know what's
Really?
wrong with me. Yeah.
What age is that? So if you're kind of around my age, that's 33-ish.
I was born in really late '89, so I'm probably about a year.
Oh, yeah.
Year older. Yeah.
You're older. You're
Yeah,
older than
I'm
me.
A year older.
Well, I mean, it depends on whether or not you want kids, really. But I'm sure if you do, you're probably thinking about it. Probably biological clock at this point.
I know. It's one of those things where I just don't really care. I'm like
Yeah.
really focused on comics. If it happens, if
Well,
I
they're
have a chance,
the comics
sure.
are your babies, right?
It really is, and I'm not
Yeah.
even joking. That's how much I care about my comics and about Fiendish. But I think a family would. I'm not opposed to it, and my Chinese family is definitely starting to guilt me now. They're like, "You getting old? Where are those grandchildren?"
Well, you can find a guy who just like takes care of all of the stuff outside of making comics for you, which would be the ideal. And
would
still
be-
have the
draws,
kid.
draws everything for me, and
Yeah.
I need to find a guy that'll take care of everything else except drawing comics. And,
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah, I'll just
the
have the
household
kid.
chores and stuff.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
get a house husband and then
Have your
everything will be
cake and eat
perfect.
it. Yeah,
Exactly, I want to have my
That's
cake
exactly
and eat it too.
yeah. Oh, they're out there. They're out there. Those guys who just worship you and do everything that you say. And you just gotta find them.
But that I feel like now there's a lot of guys like that, but that sounds it's in a really toxic way though, because it's so complicated. It's so complicated because it's now we're gonna get into talking about like feminism and how crazy feminism has gotten and how it's like they made everything so difficult between men and women, right? And I think that's part of why I just not to get too much into my dating life, but it's difficult because so many people in our generation, I think, like our generation, either they're not tuned in or they really have gone really far on the crazy side, and it just seems like people are taking a longer time to grow up. I would put it that way.
Especially men, right? Because but our society and our culture has like really just kind of like done that to men, like all the weak dads on TV and all
Yeah,
comical.
so true.
It's like
it's
they don't
sad,
want
man.
they don't want masculine men, and so a lot of
I would say for both, honestly, because yes, it's this this sort of culture that has encouraged a prolonged childhood that has encouraged encouraged men to not have to grow up and step up, but also women, because I think girls just naturally, it's just biology, mature faster than boys. But at the same time, they're also encouraging girls to not really be. They're downplaying the positive force that femininity has always had on society, and they're trying to frame the idea that, well, just because women weren't leading countries and leading armies, and we were always oppressed, and then we need to throw away everything that all the roles that women used to hold because that was all oppressive. We have to become men. And I think that's such complete bullshit because, and this is coming from a place of someone who's not particularly traditional. I think this whole idea of pushing back against tradition has made both men and women really unhappy because the fact is most women find fulfillment in not just having a family, but that's makes most people happy. But most women find value in their personal connections, and most men are more likely to find that their highest, like their purpose in life, in a little more utilitarian purpose, like the climbing a corporate ladder or being the provider, and that's just nature. And I don't think anyone should be forced into, like, if you don't want to be a housewife, then don't be a housewife. If you don't want to be like a CEO and be a super high achieving man or woman, don't do it. But everyone should be able to pursue their natural proclivities, but we've reached a point where you're almost not allowed to do that. Like if you're a woman who just wants, and I shouldn't say just, because being a mother and a housewife is a noble role, and that's very, very important.
It's huge.
I think I'm 100% for people raising their own children. If I have my own children, I am raising them. No daycare. I don't know if I could do homeschooling, but I probably would with how American education is. And you should put that effort in, because it's this whole unpaid work bullshit. It's like we've tricked multiple generations of Western women into giving their children into daycare and working a job to pay for daycare, when actually raising your own children is more rewarding, also has better results, and would make everybody happier. I have a lot of opinions on this. I think it's really strange, and it's for the same for men as well, because they want women to be able to do everything. And I think women can do almost anything, but it's about what makes them happy. It's about what people actually want to do. And they're pushing everyone to, they want, how do I put it?
We want to rebalance the scales, right?
Well, you're right. They've spent several generations indoctrinating our entire society into thinking that, well, the genders don't need each other, basically. And like, women and men can be atomized, and they're separate classes that are fighting each other, but we're not. We're always meant to work together, and we're supposed to balance each other out. And if they just let people pursue their natural proclivities, everything would be better. And that's fine if the majority of women want to be housewives and raise children, and a few of them become CEOs and want to be high achieving. That's fine. It should just be whatever people naturally prefer. But it hasn't been like that for a really long time, and it's quite frustrating. And to your point, Eric, about how a lot of people just aren't growing up, that's difficult, because that's true for both men and women. Like, women are encouraged to, you can just basically act like you're teenagers and sleep around, and there are no consequences, and that doesn't devalue you for marriage later on in life. When you do finally hit like 35 and realize you don't have kids and you want to get married, well, that's going to be a problem. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. And on the other hand, men are not only encouraged to not be manly, to focus on expressing your emotions and be really soft and emotional. And they don't understand that it's not that men don't have emotions. Men express emotions differently. They want men to express themselves like women. And also, they want to frame, this is what I think is happening. They want to frame a lot of the competition, and they want to frame competition as aggression. And because when a woman does it, it's great. But when a man does it, it's toxic masculinity. And when you tell that to a whole generation, well, what happens is men are afraid to be men. And then it's really interesting because you have all these like really lefty women who came. There was like a TikTok going around recently. I don't know if you guys saw it, where she's like, I don't understand why I'm not attracted to men that agree with my politics. I'm only attracted to men who are like conservative, and like all the men that I actually like turn out to be Trump supporters. And it's like, well, nature is nature.
Yep.
And it's like you should just let people be the way they naturally are. There's nothing wrong with competition or masculinity, and because we're downplaying that, well, both men and women are becoming not prime mate material, and they're becoming atomized instead of two parts of a whole that can work together. I've gone on for a long time. I'm sorry.
No,
I have a
for
lot of
sure.
opinions on this. It really annoys me because I see people I know being unhappy and they don't even know why they're unhappy. You know what I mean?
Well, strong, powerful men of high status that are leaders were already pretty rare. And so now they've just almost become extinct, I feel like. You barely come across them anymore. I was out in the city, Clayton in the city. I was out in like probably a week ago or two. And man, I don't even know how to describe to you some of the fashion trends that are going on right now with men.
No, tell
it was
us.
so weird. It was like really short. There was like this whole group of really short guys wearing mustaches. So mustaches have come in, and I swear one of them was wearing overalls or something.
Overalls.
And then
Ugh.
and just, you know how skinny jeans were a thing once upon a time? Well, now that's
Yes.
behind the times. I'm behind the times now with my skinny jeans, because now it's like, get the legs as wide as you possibly can, but make sure it doesn't come all the way down Eminem style. You got to have it finish just short of your ankles. And that's what these guys were like wearing. I don't even know what that was. Like like massive nerd style. And as a woman, I thought about myself as a woman of high quality, and I was like, would I find value in these men? Could they look after me? Could they? And I know not a woman wants to be taken care of, but I don't know. I don't feel like anybody wants the responsibility of being a leader or having to be powerful. This is what men were measured by once upon a time. And then somebody came along and said, hey, guess what? You don't have to be that anymore. And they were like, well, that's really hard. So sweet. I'm just going to like sit at home all day and play video games. And when I do go out, I'm going to dress as the biggest possible nerd that I can. Because apparently that's what's in.
I think you're definitely onto something. It's I think all of this and my prolonged rant that didn't need to be that long, and what you said, it all really boils down to this new trend in Western society. It wants everyone to not try anymore. It doesn't matter what race, what gender you are, what sexuality. They want you to not try, and they want to validate you as you're fine just the way you are. And if you don't try, that's okay. And that is such bullshit, because that's not how civilization has been built so far. That's not how we better civilization. And more importantly, that's not how people find fulfillment, because people find happiness and fulfillment in their connections, in building families, and in actually achieving and improving themselves. And we're telling people, don't improve yourselves, just keep on demanding everyone to validate you. And I'm 100% sure that's why millennials are so damn unhappy. There's such high rates of mental illness, and it's because you're not being taught that you need to work hard to be better. That's actually good for you. If you're told that you need to be a man or you need to be a woman of value, you have to act like you're worth respect.
Yeah, no matter what anybody tells you, by the way, if you are a guy, and it's okay to cry as a guy, just like cry by yourself when no one's watching, because no matter what anybody says, it's awkward for your friends, it's awkward for your kids, and it's awkward for your lady if you're bawling your eyes out in front of them. You can shed a little tear. Like Corey and I were watching, we watched this movie called The Fountain a few weeks ago, and both of us, by the time we got to the end of The Fountain, we squeezed out a tiny little half a tear, and it was a beautiful moment that we shared together. It was very intimate.
Aww.
And the same thing happened with The Whale. At the end of The Whale, Brendan Fraser, man, dude,
I haven't seen that.
Corey and I both, it was hard. It was hard to not give in to that tearjerker of a film. But, you know, we weren't sitting there bawling our eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my piece of advice I want to send every lad away with today is just try and hold it in. And if you do have to cry in front of somebody, make sure it's a little tiny half a tear.
A little
Because
tiny
that can kind of look even more manly because people can see that you're emotional, but you're holding your shit together.
Yeah, I think that's what's admirable about traditional masculinity or just masculinity in general. And I think that's what's attractive to women and what's respectable to other men. It's the idea of, it kind of parallels the idea of, it's not about your capability for violence. It's about you're capable of being manly, and being a good leader as well is you're capable of exerting force and power, but you restrain it. And that's what's admirable. And I mean, I think this applies to both men and women, but probably more so to men in regards to actually like emotional expression and use of force and stuff like that. And that hasn't really been taught, but that's really what's important. Like, you're capable of emotion, you're capable of power and violence and all these things, but you keep yourself controlled because you understand that you're here serving a whole, and you respect other people. You're here to protect, use your powers to protect, and you're here to keep your shit together because other people rely on you. And this applies especially to men, more so to men than women. I have a lot of opinions about how women need to woman up, but this is also true for men, that this is important, that men are the last line of defense for society. Like, women, I think, it's really hard to describe, but I think for women, it's almost like we're the role of femininity is as the holders of the things that are worth fighting for and protecting. And that's something that's an honorable and beautiful role that has been taken away from us, that's being stripped away from us. And I find that very disturbing. So that's the role that women play. There's a Chinese saying where men, it's hard, how do I translate this? Men are for being useful, or men are for being relied on, so they should be reliable. Women are for being adored, so they should be adorable. Something like that.
Well, you know, women are super important in society. We make a good team because of our differences, not because we're the same. It's very difficult to be a man at your full capacity without a woman. And it's kind of hard to be a woman at your full capacity without a man. You can do it, but you're just better with both together, like yin and yang. At least that's the way I feel about it. But you know what? I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic, Rini and Eric, in the chat, because I'm seeing some signs out there, these TikToks taken off of trad wives at home, these young women who are like doing the dishes and cooking cookies, and they're taking off. You know, it's becoming part of pop culture again. And then I saw a video the other day that came out, and it was a classroom full of students. The teacher was super woke and was trying to tell them some BS, and the students just gave the teacher a whole bunch of shit for it. So I think sometimes on this, and of course you're seeing a lot more movies come out, I feel like, that are like, for example, Netflix ditched a whole bunch of productions not like a few months ago that just weren't working out. Things that were just so woke that nobody wanted to watch them. And I feel like they've hemorrhaged so much money at this point that now they're starting to rein it in a little bit. The woke budget just, it's not holding water anymore. So it's something that the tide may turn. I don't know about Disney, man. I hear some weird stuff about Disney that's really suspicious. You know? So I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but there's some wacky stuff out there about Disney.
Oh man, yeah, Disney is whack. I think it's almost, I'm not sure if it's like we've reached peak woke where even normal people just find this insufferable and you can't ignore it anymore, which I think is definitely part of it, and part of why there's a pushback, and people are just so tired of it because for like the past 10 years, I think for Western society, it was this permeating idea of, well, we're fighting for racial justice and LGBT rights, and almost everybody, except for like they want to make it seem like half of society are bigoted. That's not true. Almost everybody has no problems with these basic things, but this more extreme version of it that is not about equality is being shoved down everybody's throats, where they're not only about representing, say, LGBT characters, but they're changing well-established characters to be a different sexuality. They're changing characters' races, and that annoys the normal person because that logically makes no sense. And the average person is fairly logical, believe it or not. And I'm glad to see that there's a bit of a pushback. And also, it's and I was kind of in doubt about this because like Tim Pool has hammered on this, and think what you will about him, but it's
he's got a lot of money. I know that's what I think.
He sure does, actually. He sure does. It is impressive. It's props to what he has built. But he mentioned how he thinks like, well, the younger generation, the tendency is to rebel against what they're being told. It's because when we were coming up, it's like Western society in particular has always been about, well, let's rebel against what the older generation wanted us to do. That's what punk was. That's what goth was. That's what the atheist movement was. But I don't think that's always true and this is why I've been so terrified, because I come from Taiwan and come from Chinese culture. Someone in chat was asking, and my family doesn't come from China. We come from Taiwan, aka real China. But I think my ancestry is southern China, so probably like Fujian or something. But anyways, I remember the Red Guard. Those were youths.
Oh. Wait, were they around when you were around? Wait,
when
did that happen?
Not that what I remember. No, this was like the fucking 60s and 70s.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought.
As in, I grew up knowing this history, and I see so many parallels, and I think what they're doing, and the reason they're trying to get into education is clearly they want to influence the next generation while their minds are still malleable. But I know from my background and from the history, and even in Germany, they had like Hitler's youth. And the younger generation, if they're not raised in a way of being irreverent and being iconoclast is cool, like it has been in the West for a long time, young people are susceptible to ideological brainwashing. And this has happened in extremist societies. And again, it's not about any extremism. It's happened in fascism. It's happened in communism. And I am really worried about that. And I'm glad that there is some pushback starting now, because I feel like we're at the last... It's like we're at the point of no return almost. Either we give in or we actually return to a place of sanity and actually progress instead of regressing like we are right now.
Yeah, there's been some hit back. I feel like, thank goodness Elon Musk came along, because he's one of those big players with so much money, you just can't take him down. He will just buy whatever social media platform it is you're trying to cancel him on and make it Elon Musk land.
Oh, it's so great. It's so great. I was so glad there's someone like Elon around. It's because everyone else is just either they're just rich and ignoring everything, or they're just going with the flow. They're going with the establishment. Yeah,
sometimes I'm like, is Elon Musk gonna like get thrown in prison, get framed or something? Is someone going to try to take him down? And then I remember, wait a second, this guy was the most richest man in the world at some point. You can't take Elon Musk down.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, they're trying to take down certain other political figures, and we all know how unequal that has been. Young people
poor Andrew Tate.
Poor Andrew Tate, right? Yeah. Oh man. Young people think they can change the world. I think that's more what it is. Young people do want to change the world, and I think we've all been young, and I understand that sentiment. So if you want to change the world, whether that's against, well, I want to rebel against like really, really ultra-conservative religious tendencies, which is a generation in America, that's what young people will want to do. It's whatever seems to be their perceived problem. They will want to work against it. And, honestly, I wonder if Mao's Red Guard or the Hitler Youth, they thought they were changing the world as well. They were changing the world for the better, and they had been taught that there's this new ideology that is the right way, and we're gonna change the world for the better, and it's the hot new thing. And to them this was cool. To them it was punk, but it wasn't. It was extremism, and but when you're that young, you really don't know, and they're being taken advantage of.
Well, being a rebel used to look much cooler. I mean,
I gotta
just think
say,
back.
it really did. Like,
I mean,
compared to the people now, like
20
fucking Antifa, y'all aren't cool. Y'all look like fucking failures and soy boys and like weirdos.
I had the coolest. So in art college, I had like the coolest like punk dude in our dorm, and he was just like, dude, the mohawk, the studs all over his jacket. I mean, like the dude made his own clothes, and it was like that's punk, man. That's like the cool rebel. But this crap today, man, it's like they ain't got no style. I mean, come on.
Original Eminem era, I was probably a liberal at that point, probably, but these days, I don't know. It just seemed like being a rebel meant I'm gonna censor everything, and just water everything down, make it all the same. It was so weird. It was like it got flipped on its head. All of a sudden, everything uniform instead of, I don't know, I guess they call it chaotic, but I feel like it's just a stricter system than anything else I've seen before. Like when you get into the position where you're now censoring creativity, artistic expression, like that's the one area where humans on an innate level should have almost complete freedom. Obviously there's always lines to be drawn. Humans work really well with a certain level of boundary, otherwise they go nuts. Which is probably what has happened, honestly, with the left.
Right. No boundaries.
Not that I think. Again, I think it's a minority. Most people are probably in the middle. I'm in the middle. I think there's certainly people out there who are taking advantage of both polarized ends of the spectrum, and they're making a lot of money from it.
That's true. Yeah, I think probably most people are in the middle, or
I mean,
so. That's the whole that's whole definition of extremism. Most people aren't extreme, but a good way to recognize someone who's extremist is if they frame everyone who disagrees with them as an extremist. That's a pretty
that's true.
You're a pretty quick tell. Yeah, everybody who disagrees is a Nazi. Everybody is a bigot. Everybody else is a bigot. Everything is sexist. Everything is racist. We have to tear it all down. That sounds like you're the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, things have gotten so crazy. I think it's you're onto something definitely there with the idea of the people who think they're rebels right now. They really aren't, because what's so rebellious about agreeing with what every billion-dollar corporation and every government every government department or sector of government is telling you is the right way and the right thing to do and the right moral thing to say? I don't think that's being very rebellious. It's weird. I thought traditionally, as far as our memories go back, the left in America has been the rebellious side. But I honestly think it's been flipped, and I think that's the pendulum swinging. And being a rebel is not solely a left or right thing. I think the pendulum swings, and we always return to a middle, and things swing further and further. And I think what I'm worried about is, from my limited knowledge of history, well, at least American history, it seems like the pendulum keeps on swinging further every side. Like maybe what we're experiencing now is a mirror image of McCarthyism, and sort of everybody was paranoid about communists, but I don't know. I wonder. I didn't live through it, so I don't know if it was worse or better then. But like we're living through it, so it seems like it's so much worse. And we work in entertainment, which is very permeated by very far left politics, and we're being censored, and we have people smearing us. So maybe it feels a lot worse to us than to the regular person. But it seems to me like the pendulum keeps on swinging further. I still have faith that it'll return to the center. It's just about what we'll have to go through before we get to that point.
Yeah.
Where do you think we're at, Eric?
I kind of share your sentiment because I think like people are starting to wake up and we're seeing more pushback, which I think is is great. And I think the reason, this is my opinion, I think because the left is targeting kids more, and
Absolutely.
Super weird.
Yeah, and it's like don't mess with our kids, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I grew up, gosh, there was none of this talk about like, oh, do you think you're a girl? Are you sure? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's any trans people in my school, in high school. Like, I don't remember any. But now it's like it's such a thing because it's like the professors, the teachers. It's like, oh, they're pushing this, and the kids don't know any better. And it's like, oh, well, maybe, like, what do they know, right? So it's like now it's everywhere.
Sheesh.
And now it's like the parents are singing, everybody's singing. It's like, what are you guys doing to our kids? Like, well, hold on a second, like time out, right? So I think I hope that there's going to be like a reset, like people are waking up, and you see all the YouTube videos of the school board meetings, and you hear the parents like, this should not be in our school. What are you teaching our kids? Like, I think we've given the education system such free reign for so long. Now it's like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? I mean, our schools are jacked up, man. And
really,
I don't know how it is in Australia, but from what I hear, it's gone pretty bad here. And like you see, probably our view of it is skewed as well because it's like we're seeing the sensational stuff are those school board meetings where the parents are reading out these books that have explicit sexual acts that are being given to elementary school students, and these teachers on TikTok that are like, I'm indoctrinating my kids in my class.
Right.
But even it doesn't honestly matter if it's every single school. The fact that this is happening, it's a problem because it's kids. And we were talking about how a lot of people are afraid of speaking out, or they just think it's not their problem. When it comes to kids, that's when people aren't afraid of you calling them racist or sexist or bigoted anymore. Nobody cares if you call them racist or anti-LGBT or homophobic when it's their kids, because it's not about them. Yeah. It's about their kids. And I absolutely agree. You're right, Eric. That's the last line. And that's the fact that they're trying to fuck with kids and minors. Probably literally. Yeah. Oh, God.
I wonder if that's been the intention. I wonder if that's been the intention this almost this whole time. It's super weird, man. Like the whole, like everything that's happened, when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, it feels like it's been going in a particular direction that is rather sinister.
Yeah.
And who knows what for? I don't know why. If it's just... if the rich and the powerful are behind it. I mean, Mel Gibson apparently is going to release a whole documentary and all that good stuff on Hollywood. So
I can't wait.
We'll see if that happens.
I don't actually think it's like some dark cabal who's been planning this. Maybe, but
some truth, some not truth. I don't know.
Right.
It's pretty wild and weird to think about, and like to think of that, like that's their end game. Like that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean,
but you get so rich and powerful. I mean, maybe you get some. Maybe
that's
head
what
goes
it
a little
is.
bit funny.
Yeah, it's speaking of people that have no more problems. Maybe it
carbon.
stems from people who were so rich and powerful they had nothing else to. It's like, have you heard about this tendency for people who become really rich and powerful in either either financially or in politics, where they feel like, well, I have so much power and so much money, I feel guilty about it, so I have to do something. I have to help the world, and it turns into I know better because I have more money, so let me control people and reshape society. I think part of it honestly stems from that.
Yeah.
And it probably wasn't completely planned, but it was just this tendency that we have had so few real problems in the West, and there are a lot of rich people with nothing better to do, and a lot of elites that they latched onto this idea, these weird ideas floating around in academia for several decades, and they started pushing it as mainstream, even though it's not, because they think it's better for the world, but that's not how regular people think.
Something else I thought of that it could be, and Corey and I were talking about it yesterday when he came over to chill, I was like, you know what, man? I wonder if, when you hear leftist ideologies, on the surface, if you follow them, it makes you look like a good person, right? And who doesn't want to be a good person? You want to be a good person, so follow this and you'll be a good person. And so it's very easy to buy into. It's like, oh yeah, well, equality does sound like a nice thing. Like, it would be good if all things could be equal. It would be great if everybody had an equal opportunity and an equal outcome in an ideal world, of course. What wonderful. Obviously, in reality, it never works, but let's just take it at face value. All right, well, if the powers that be are pushing that, maybe it's all to do with politics and votes. So maybe if you're on the left and you're pushing that down people's throats, well, the voters want to be good people, right? And so they're going to feel like they're good people just by voting for that side of the political spectrum. I don't know. It could be that too. And same with everything that's going on in pop culture. Well, I'm going to watch this movie because it's all about equality and inclusion, and because I see myself as a good person, no one wants to see themselves as a bad person. I'm going to go and support that and pay money. So maybe maybe they're getting into the virtues of people to pull money out their pockets.
I do think that's absolutely true with it's weird. I think this is true for politics. It works in politics to an extent until you come for the kids, because people want
Yeah.
They
Then that's bad.
Yes, very bad, by the way. But I think most people, they don't pay that much attention to what politicians actually do. They're not tuned in as much as somebody who pays, like, most people don't pay that much attention to politics. They pay attention to the surface when presidential elections here in America come about, and that's about it. And they don't look deeper into what's been happening, and especially because so many things have been shifting within the parties. They kind of, I know a lot of friends who their whole families have been Republican or Democrat for years, so they just keep on voting that way. And if they say the other side are bad people, then they just believe because it's their side. So there's a lot of tribalism playing into it, and there's also a lot of, they're just not looking further into, well, this politician says they care about equality and they care so much about minorities. On the surface, it keeps saying this, so that must be true. And they're not looking into, has this politician's policies actually helped any minorities, even though they've been in politics for 40 years and they honestly haven't helped anybody. In fact, they've led every single city they've been in charge of into the ground. They're not looking into that. But I think when it comes to entertainment and giving you their money, that's where it's easier for regular people to make a decision about, I just don't like this movie. I don't care if, like, I mean, they probably won't be outspoken about it on Twitter or YouTube. Like, they probably will consume the media. And I know a lot of people who came into the Phantom Menace or Comicsgate just because they were so annoyed by, like, how bad the new Star Wars movies were or how bad current comics were. And they weren't tuned into politics, but because they realized their media suddenly started sucking, and when they spoke out, they were being called racist or sexist, they went online and were like, am I the crazy one? And they realized that no, a lot of people actually agree with me. So I think when it comes to culture and actually giving someone your money, that's a way out of the insanity for the regular person.
Very true. Yeah. And it's not really something that you can get hooked in on if you're just watching like a Marvel movie, for example. You either just will like it or you won't like it if you're not already part of this whole political discussion in regards to pop culture. So yeah, you're right about that. And the funny thing is, Corey just got back from the Philippines, right? He had a little holiday over there, and he told me that, yeah, they don't know what all these conversations we're having over here in the West about, wokeism and SJWs and this and that. They don't have any clue what that is, right? I don't even know if they know what feminism is. They just don't think about it. It's so traditional over there. And the funny thing is that everybody's also very friendly over there, very chilled out, very low key. And so our society, if you compare it to a society such as the Philippines, is just all over the shop. It's people spazzing out all over the place, having an opinion on everything. and conflicts left, right, and center, friendships breaking up, families breaking up over it. I mean, just look at what happened with you and the industry when you decided to leave and come over here to Comicsgate. Now people are, giving you the stink eye at conventions, and it's just not fun for anyone.
Yeah, it's tearing people up. It's really strange, isn't it? Because I think part of it is also it's one of those double-edged things where, by the way, Shadow Sentry has been sitting at 17,690 for like an hour. Can we please get this up? If you're watching, the creators...
Rainy wants another shot.
Yes, I want another shot. More importantly, I want a drink. That's the whole point I'm still streaming, besides from this awesome discussion, is because I'm going to take a shot every time this goes up. So if you're watching and haven't backed this yet, please back Shadow Sentry. It's by Eric and Clayton. It looks amazing. Check it out. The link's in the description. But man, it's to your point, all this extremism has really has been tearing apart the fabric of Western society. I think, again, it's one of those things where it's double-edged sword. It stems from a good place, and it really probably stems from a very American tendency where Americans want to change the world. I would liken our culture to like an over-enthusiastic puppy who doesn't know that they're 3 years old, they're huge, they don't know they're huge, they want to be everywhere, they want to help, but they're really not helping. That's kind of American culture. And they're knocking things over, they're blundering, and they're way too strong for their mental capacity.
Yeah.
And like,
as an Australian, I can agree.
Awesome, because I am American, but I grew up overseas. I grew up in Taiwan, so I can see this, and it's part of what I love about American culture, but also part of what I understand how annoying it could be. And I think that can be really good. Americans have this innate, because we're raised being taught not only you can change the world. That's a very American idea, that you have a say, your vote matters, your voice in politics matters, you can change the world, and that's good. But when it's being taken advantage of, that can be very bad. And that's what we're seeing right now, is that urge to help the world and do something and better the world is being taken advantage of. They're being told that this is the right way to help the world, and we need to kind of like meddle in everything. And I'm not going to get into like politics and foreign wars, but that's the American tendency. We want to help, but we don't always know best, and oftentimes we think we know best. And I think that's part of this weird cultural imperialism where you see like Americans, really woke Americans, trying to tell Japan how their anime should be. And
what?
It's like there's like all these American fans flipping out on Twitter because some anime had boobs and stuff. They're like, oh, it's offensive, it's teenagers. But it's like, yeah, it's teenagers, but like, it's so weird. It's so, the logical inconsistency is appalling, because these same people will promote having really lewd sexual content in American schools for elementary kids. But if a manga for high schoolers has like a high schooler who's like 15 years old, have a slightly low-cut superhero outfit, they flip the fuck out. And I don't think these things are equivalent. I think they're very different.
Hypocrisy.
And it's hypocrisy. And how can you be against cultural imperialism but want to tell the rest of the world how to think and act? Because we all saw the complete clusterfuck that went down during the World Cups in Qatar a few months ago, where it's like all these woke Westerners were flying into the Middle East wearing rainbow shirts and stuff. And I'm like, I understand the Middle East is terrible, but I completely disagree with how the Middle East handles a lot of human rights. But
it's a very brave thing to do.
It's very brave and also very fucking stupid, because this is not, I mean, at least they're standing by their words, and like, instead of bothering Westerners that already aren't homophobic, because they're like, well, the West needs to be more feminist. No, if you really cared about women's rights and gay rights, then go to the Middle East. So I guess at least they did that. But it was also just ridiculous, because I don't think this is the right way to change people's minds. You can't just go into someone's culture. But Afghanistan is a prime example of this. Look at what the Americans are doing in Afghanistan. We wanted
What are
to
they
come
doing?
or what they did. We're out now.
Oh, what they did. Yeah. For very many years. Oh,
right.
yeah.
We were there for like 20 years, and it was a complete fucking failure because we thought we would come in and force our culture and our ideals on someone else. And so obviously it's not an equivalency, but I see them doing it in Asia as well. And because anime has so much cultural influence, they want to come in and change anime. And I know that there's a growing LGBT lobby in Japan, and I've noticed that Japan is a lot more tuned into the West than the rest of Asia. And like,
Right.
there's a huge, I think, like, probably most Asian countries don't use Twitter, don't use YouTube, don't use the same social media as the West, but Japan does. It's really weird. I don't really know why, because like it's like Taiwan, Korea, China, all these countries, they kind of use different social media. But Japan is very tuned into the West, and as a result, I see a lot of this woke stuff starting to come into Japan, not just with anime, but in their politics. Like there's a trans lobby in Japanese politics now, and that's a major fight right now in Japanese politics.
Is there really?
It's insane. It's insane. And it just baffles me because Japan has always kind of had LGBT representation. Like, if you understand Japanese culture, how, they had, I forgot the word because I'm not Japanese, but
it's always been there. Like, they've always had very feminine looking characters within certain anime and those archetypes that were arguably more inventive than what we had over here in the West. I mean, they were ahead of us in that regard, if you want to think about it that way.
I agree. I think Japan is a very interesting example of how they have a very traditional, restrained culture, but at the same time, their art has been allowed to be absolutely as wild as it wants to be. And I think that's really healthy. I think that's absolutely...
It makes us awesome.
Right, and I think that's great. I think regular daily life, people should be encouraged to be regimented, to be duty focused, but your art should be you should have almost no bounds on your art. It should be wild because it's fantasy, it's escapism, it's healthy for society to have that. But even Japanese culture, even going back to ancient times, it just has been different from the West. And, people joke about like tentacle porn and how far it goes back in Japan. Japan's a little weird. Japan has a tradition of cross-dressing prostitutes going back to like the Meiji era and even before that. And this is an ancient thing. And for example, in theater, it's traditional for Japanese theater. It has always been men, but even beyond that, there has always been a place in Japanese society for, and I find this is true for a lot of Asian societies. For example, in Thailand, they had ladyboys before the trans lobby or transgenderism was ever a thing in the West, and that was just part of their society. But that was integrated to and did not interfere with mainstream society, and it didn't interfere with regular traditional society. They coexisted, and it showed in manga. Manga has had BL and GL, girl love, boy love, which is
they get a lot of different categories.
Yeah, a lot of different categories, but they had LGBT for like entire genres in manga and anime is what I mean. For gay and LGBT, gay or lesbian and LGBT subjects for decades. I grew up with this stuff. Japan it has always been there, and we didn't need the LGBT lobby from the West to tell us in Asia this is the right way to represent people who aren't the majority, who aren't straight, who aren't whatever. It's absolutely absurd that now the West is coming in and telling Japan and telling Asia, well, you need to represent people the right way or you're a bunch of bigots and homophobes. No, it's totally different. It doesn't apply. The culture is different, and you need to get the fuck out. Stop your cultural imperialism.
Yeah, big time. I mean, for some reason, the US does like to get its midst in every single pie that's out there.
We do, and I
in terms of
apologize.
countries, which, I mean, Australia is very Americanized. So I feel like we're America and, it's not such a big deal in our regard. I feel like with like Russia and Afghanistan, all that other stuff. It's other parts of the world that, I mean, you really want to get in amidst that fight? Okay. But, I mean, the world has been warring against itself in different places for eons. And a lot of these problems aren't going to be solved just with, one country coming in and thinking that they're going to put everyone in their place. But beyond that, as far as entertainment is concerned, it's such a shame with anime and manga because we Westerners really love anime and manga specifically because it's so different to what we've got over here in the West.
Yes.
It's so much more interesting and creative. It goes places that we would never think to go. And that's what makes it awesome. And so if whatever forces are coming into Japan to influence it in a more mediocre, boring direction now that's going to take that level of creativity and intrigue away from it, if that starts to take play, then it's just going to not be a very good thing for anybody. It's not going to be a good thing for us over here who really enjoy anime and manga for what it is right now, and it's definitely not going to be good for Japanese culture.
That would make me very sad if they. And I've had faith that Japan would not give in to insane Western cultural imperialism up until now, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't worried because America does have a lot of cultural sway, and I see even a little bit of it in Taiwan because we've already covered it. Most people want to come across as good people. Like most people, if you tell them, well, this is just you're standing up for women, you're standing up for LGBT people, and Taiwan is actually really LGBT friendly. I think Taiwan is the only country in Asia where gay marriage is legal.
Yeah,
but
there you
so
go.
it's one of those things where we made that legal before all this woke stuff. Like we don't need your shit. We don't need to be taught how to be better. And more importantly, this is another thing where on one front, in countries like Japan and I would say Taiwan and most of Asia, like countries that already have high scores in human development high human development indexes, they're really high on freedom. Japan has like a weird justice system. I know no country is perfect, but socially speaking, the fight for equality really isn't in these places. They're just different, and we need to let them be different. America doesn't have a right to meddle in other people's cultures. You can't make everybody have the same exact morality as you. That's kind of fucked up. But also for places where there are legit issues like the Middle East, the way to actually change things for the better isn't going in and taking over and strong-arming them and forcing them, telling them, and like you wearing your rainbow shirt to Qatar and then getting arrested and you think you're being a brave crusader or something. I mean, that's really stupid. Or you're like forcing LGBT education when you take over Afghanistan. That's really stupid. That's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is what America had been doing for almost a century before this, which is make media and make culture that is cool, that is entertaining, that people like.
Exactly.
And then your ideas will naturally come through, and that's how you actually change minds. And then people will adopt it, but it will be merged with their original local culture. It'll be organic, and you're not forcing anyone to take on your culture. You're not guilting them. You're not telling them you're big, you have to be like woke American culture, otherwise you're like a Nazi. They're like, everybody's a Nazi now. If you're Asian, you're a Nazi. If you're Hispanic, you're a Nazi. If you disagree with woke culture, then you're a Nazi. It's completely insane. You can't beat people into agreeing with you. You can beat them into silence, but when it comes to money, when it comes to their children's education, when it comes to politics, they will quietly rebel against you. You can't change minds, and you can't change people by actually being this forceful and censorious and censoring their art.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, once upon a time, manga and anime were like original series, like let's say Dragon Ball Z, for example, which obviously I love, but it was influenced by American creations. So if you look at certain characters within these series, they're actually based on really popular movies that America had, and in fact, I know that we've been inspired by one another, but these days they're laughing at a lot of what's coming out of the West. They're like, what the heck is going on with all of these? Like, every character is a homosexual now. Man, I gotta tell you, I'm not a gay man, but I can think like a gay man, and I can be like, okay, if I was gay, I would have had a lot more fun being gay when it was all underground and non-mainstream. Okay, what now? Like, when it was like just like when I got to be the special one, the special character in the book that was gay, then it was fun. Now everybody's the same, and it's not special anymore. It's almost like if so CG, being part of CG, one of the cool aspects about it is that we're sort of rebels. Like we're not mainstream. But the moment that CG became mainstream, we became the mainstream. I don't know that it would be that fun anymore. Maybe it's just the rebel within me, but I feel like there's something special about being unique. And when everything becomes the same, when it gets taken up here and leveled out, then it's not special anymore. It's not unique. It's just normal. And I guess that's what they're trying to do, is normalize everything, but I'm not sure that that is the best outcome. Because normalized, sure, it makes things equal, but not in a significant way that's going to give you any advantages over anybody else necessarily. It's just the same as everything else.
Yeah, I think that's.
Whereas if you're special, I mean, maybe successful. If you're then the normal.
Yeah, that's. I think you're onto something there, where it's almost like they want everyone to be equal, but equally confused and unfocused on actually being successful and performing meritoriously. And they want everybody to be confused and equal in, like, you're equally big of a mess.
Yeah. Oh, for
it's
sure.
a little harsh, but that's what I see. And that what you said touched on something very interesting that I was thinking about earlier, where with the way that we grew up, and we're the same generation, I remember I wasn't raised with any sort of, like, I wasn't even aware of gay people growing up. It wasn't even, but like nobody even talked to me about like straight people or gay people. It was just, well, Taiwan is a pretty traditional society, so it's one of those things where you get married before you have kids, and like very, very traditional, right? And most women, are it's different now. Like I said, Taiwan is like relatively liberal for Asia, but when I was growing up, there was no in America. America was going through the throes of LGBT rights and feminism, and there was none of that in Taiwan. But guess what? I didn't need that to not hate gay people. I didn't need that to not hate trans people. You know what happened? Like, I didn't see a black person until I was like, well, probably when I was like 4, because I came to America when I was 4, but it was New York.
Wow.
So, but I never even noticed it. It just didn't even register for me.
Totally right. And it shouldn't.
It's one of those weird things where, so I didn't even like really notice, like, race was one of those things that just didn't register for me. It's like, I was aware that I was different and my dad is different. Everybody was like, I was a white girl in Taiwan because my dad's American and he's like German, Polish, Jewish. So I was aware of it that way. But like, it really just didn't matter. It was just such an unspoken thing where it's, on the surface, people notice it and you're aware people notice it. And it's fine to notice it on the surface because everywhere I go, if I go to get my hair done and they'll like, I grew up having people assume I don't speak my local native language because I don't look like a local. But I always knew that, well, you get over that. What matters is your personality. What matters is what's inside. And that's doubly true when I came to America back in the 90s and early 2000s. When I came here, everybody was all colors of the rainbow. But I loved that idea that what mattered here wasn't, and that's what made America so special. And what I loved the confidence, and I loved this idea that you are not constrained by the bounds of your birth. You could actually rise up, and that's not the same way everywhere else in the world. In most places of the world, it's either a very classist society, or just the way you're born and your family connection. It determines your entire trajectory. There are very few chances for advancing yourself and earning your way up and finding success through merit. And I love that America was about that. And I love that in America, the content of character really was what people saw back when I first came here. And that's why I moved here, because I love that. And it seems like they're going back on them. They want us to see nothing but race and sexuality and gender, when that's not what was supposed to matter. But I remember,
which is kind of more racist when you think about it.
So it is. I thought that's what we wanted to get away from, right? We wanted to not be racist. We wanted race to become race and sexuality and gender to become something that was so not important that we can joke about it. Which for the people who don't get like why people on our side make jokes about, like, think it's funny if you make like a racist joke. If I talk about like being in the kitchen barefoot, it's funny. It's because we don't actually think that's important all the time. It's funny because it's absurd, because we don't actually care about anybody's race or gender. It's about your performance, your content of character. Like, it's so out of our concern that it's funny to joke about it. And people should also be able to joke and like speak freely. Like, jokes shouldn't be offensive. But,
right? Is it not more racist? Like, if you've got a friend, right? Like, I have a friend who's Aboriginal, and never think about it. It's just like he's just another person to me. But with this woke SJW stuff, when that comes into play, well, now all of a sudden, if I'm following the rules now, if I'm a good person, I've got to treat him differently because of the color of his skin. I've got to, let's say, not just treat him equal, but treat him better than me to make sure that the scales are evened out. Or I got to make sure I censor myself around him so he doesn't get offended because of the color of his skin, because of his background. Mm-hmm. Okay, you could call that just being a respectful person, but it's also kind of racist because I'm doing it based on the color of his skin and his culture. And it's like, if I just treated him like a normal person and I talked to him based on the dynamic that we had established within our friendship, talk to him like I would talk to any other friend, any other person, then to me that's really the place that we want to get to, where we're not really. And I know this is you don't want to say this in front of an SJW either, where you don't see skin color, because they hate that. Oh yeah,
right, they hate it. They'll say, well, "Are you blind?" Well, that's not what.
But ideally, that's what it should be. It's like, right. I'm not sitting there consciously thinking I'm talking to a black man right now when I'm talking to my buddy. I'm just talking to my friend.
How insufferable! This is why I think SJWs, and hi Eric, welcome back. So many, they're all they're so unhappy. And on one hand, I'm very annoyed at them, and because they've tried to ruin my life, and that makes me angry. But at the same time, I feel bad because so many of them are so unhappy, and I think it's because they have to go through life seeing nothing but race and gender, and when they're talking to someone, like
and then changing their behavior based on it.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw. There's this new video that came out of, I think it's like a police body cam, where this white guy was being threatened by a man who happened to be black. Like, a man who happened to be white was being threatened by a man who happened to be black. The cops are called, and then the black man was arrested because he was threatening violence, and the white guy started crying because he's like, I don't want to seem racist. I didn't want him arrested. And it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, that's not what it's what are you doing? Why are you treating him differently because of his race? It's absurd. It doesn't, none of this should matter. It should be like a surface thing where, I'll joke. I don't mind if people joke about me being Chinese or Polish. It's just a fun joke. But I know that, like, there's a difference between being actually hateful and just joking about it. And it's pretty obvious because, like, when someone actually cares and when someone's like, you're Chinese, I'm going to treat you differently, and I think, like, you guys are all commies, or, like, I don't know, I hate you because you're part Jewish. Like, it's pretty obvious because I've encountered it before. And I know the difference between that and someone who's just like, oh, you're a Jewasian. Like, that's hilarious to me because I know that's just a joke. Like, Nobody actually, that's not, you don't really actually care. And at the end of the day, we're taking joy. That's what it is. You're taking joy in your differences because you know that what really matters is your character and your friendship and your experiences together. And I'd like us to go back to that instead of having to suffer through life seeing people as just you're a certain race, so I have to treat you differently. And I think that's why SJWs and a lot of these far left people, they're so unhappy because they have to constantly feel like, be on guard. Am I saying the right thing? Am I treating this person right? Where are they in the progressive stack? What's my place in the progressive? Am I following? Am I being a good adherent of this ideology? Am I going to have to repent publicly later on Twitter because I said one wrong word? It's
I mean, by
horrible.
default, they're born into the world with lots of sin because of the white guilt. So they're starting out on a really low level as it is, where they've got to constantly pander and try to make up for all the bad things that their ancestors have done that they weren't even there for.
Right.
And it's
it's so stupid.
man.
It's so stupid. I would go on forever. We're going to talk about that stuff, but that.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
And like Asia has a lot of that too, because Asia has a lot of ancestral hatred from like World War II and even going before that. I think that's stupid too. I think governments should. The only people that are really responsible are governments, because that's you can't make people pay for what their ancestor 2 or 5 generations ago did. We need to let go of these things. At some point, we should be individual first, and I think that's the best way to go. And that's where we have been going. But
I mean, it sucks, and you can think humans are shit. I mean, yeah, like humans are kind of shit. I mean, look at the things that we do. We do some pretty crazy stuff, but you're here. You may as well make the best of it. And if you're gonna point the finger at somebody else, you may as well point the finger at yourself too, because I mean, no one is perfect. No one's a saint. Every single race in the entire world has done some pretty nasty shit at some point.
Absolutely. I want my Mongolian reparations. The Mongols took over the whole world, so I would like my reparations from them. It's just insane. Let's just have a return to sanity. Babbling Bobby, I disavow that. How dare you? These are my people. I didn't choose to be born into hate. No one chooses to be born the way that they were born, and that shouldn't be what's important at all. But what we all were born to do is to back this comic right here.
That's very true.
That was a terrible segue, but you absolutely should. I haven't told that we need a refresh, so let's try that. Are you guys going to let me drink again? Has chat allowed me to take another shot? Let's see.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun.
Wow, nice.
Thank you so much! Yay!
Thank you guys.
Woo!
So how many backers was that?
I don't know.
That just jumped
was
on.
$100 or something. We're not at 18,000 yet. I'm very disappointed in all of you, but it's better than nothing. So you get a C plus.
Alex said he backed again, so thank you, Alex. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much, Alex. And yeah, thank you everybody who backed this. You guys are awesome. If you're in chat and you just backed Shadow Sentry, then put your backer number in chat and let us know, and we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, do it. By the way, who was it that said? Dragon Ball. So Astra Sterling said, Dragon Ball. I think you mean My Hero Academia. DB was more based on Journey to the West, I believe. It was, but it also took a lot of American influence too. Like, for example, the Android Saga is so based on the Terminator franchise, it's not even funny. Trunks is basically John Connor, just so you know. Like, that's what the creator said. Based on John Connor. Yeah. And, the future traveling back and forth. You've got the different models of Android. Remember Terminator 2? They had the different models of Terminator. Mm-hmm. Right? Then you get the big bad guy, Cell, regeneration, stuff like that.
That
Yeah,
makes
man.
sense. I'm not a big Dragon Ball person, but that does make sense.
It's okay. We
Manga
can still be
and-
friends. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I take it you're a big Dragon Ball person. I
Well,
mean,
you just
hold
basically
on.
spat in my face just then, but
Oh,
I'll forgive
well,
you.
Look at
hold
that
on,
stuff
hold
behind
on.
him. You can see it.
How well versed are you? How much of an expert are you on Ghost in the Shell and Berserk? Because if we're gonna play this game,
Really? I mean,
oh really now?
Berserk. Berserk, I
Oh,
love
are we
Berserk.
going to have a Berserk off now?
Okay, you want to Berserk? Well, okay, I got to be fair to you because I've only seen the original animation of Berserk. I have got the books though. I've got all the volumes of
You've
the
got
books,
the
but
books, and you haven't read them.
yeah, but I haven't read them all yet.
But
So
you're
you're
a
gonna
Berserk
probably know
fan.
more.
Oh, but
Probably
you're a
gonna know
Berserk
more.
fan. Okay.
And I like Ghost in the Shell too. I've watched the animes, but I haven't read the books all the way through. Corey, however, could give you a run for your money, okay, because he's read all of them.
All right. All right. I'll give you a pass then. I guess we can still be friends.
To be
I'm in
fair, I
the
haven't
police.
actually read the Dragon Ball Z manga either. I've read bits of it, but I haven't read
You
it.
just your
I've
weed
watched the
cards
anime.
are just like whittling down bit by bit over here. No, to be
Yeah.
fair, I wasn't really. I just wasn't into Dragon Ball. I think honestly, that was just because things came out earlier in Asia than in the West.
I don't think many women are into Dragon Ball.
That's
For some
true.
reason, I see a streak of hate in their eyes when it doesn't matter who I'm watching it with, but sometimes I'll watch it with friends and the missus will walk out and they're like, I'm just not into it. You know, I'm
Oh,
just not into
man.
it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't think it's really my kind of thing. I do like a lot of shonen, but I don't think Dragon Ball is my kind of thing.
Yeah,
It is a
muscly
very
dudes breaking out of their clothes, powering up.
yeah, but it's also very much a male fantasy kind of thing, which is great. It's just not sort of like
Yeah.
my type of shonen because I like a lot of shonen. Like I did reach Bleach and Naruto, but also when I was growing up in Asia, the hot shonen thing was Bleach and Naruto because I think America and the West kind of and sort of like the West. I think you're not really. I guess Australia's you're part of the Western world has it's like a delayed release, especially back in the 90s about with manga and anime back then. So I was growing up with Naruto and Bleach. But yeah. Dragon Ball is very much I think it is just more of a guy thing, which is
See, I
fine.
never watched much Naruto or Bleach.
I did watch I watched Naruto till a little or read Naruto till a little after the time jump, and I kept up with Bleach until it got boring and it was all fillers, which is really sad because it's actually really good at first. It was honestly brilliant at first, but I think the there's this whole like clusterfuck where the creator was forced to continue the story by the editor and the publisher, and he clearly was not into it. It was so sad. Like it should have ended earlier, and it was like a shitty situation.
Yeah.
I must be really old because I watched Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's what most people I meet in America who are a little older than me grew up with, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Same. You were like the 80s then. You were an 80s baby.
Totally, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was very 80s. Though
Good time to live.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm a little jealous. It's back when things were saying, "Hey, Eric Weathers is in chat. What's up?
What's up?
Hello.
Hey, Eric. What's up?
The best letterer in CG.
Right. Also, the creative Battlebrick Road. So go check that out, everybody. Yeah, I think we did have some American media though. So when I was growing up, we had Gargoyles and Mummies Alive, and those were some of my favorite shows. I actually really like that. Gargoyles was really
cool.
good. I feel like that should
Oh,
be
Gargoyles was great. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it?
I feel like that didn't last as long as it should have or something. Or maybe
got-
I kind of caught it on the back end. I don't know how long it lasted.
It didn't last very long. It was also, I think, the later seasons. I stopped watching because it lost its sort of inventive touch and like the magic it had at the beginning. I just remember just becoming bored after a while. But the early seasons were so good, and I would say it should have a comeback. But I don't want any modern American company touching it right now.
Right.
at all. It was good though.
Did you watch Biker Mice? Street Sharks? Loved Biker Mice and Street
Remember
Sharks.
Biker Mice from Mars? Yeah, remember those guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were pretty
No,
sick.
Good
I
time.
didn't.
I feel like
didn't
I feel
watch
like
that.
Biker Mice had a bit of an anime feel to it.
Yeah, I think so.
Now I want to watch it
Almost
again.
like that X-Men kind of vibe to it or something.
Yeah, X-Men cartoon back then was really cool.
Yeah.
I felt like the animation was just... It was a bit boring, but the animation looked really good.
Wait, SWAT cats? What are SWAT cats?
SWAT cats. Doesn't sound familiar. Someone said
What do you-
Exo Squad. That was awesome. I remember that. Another one that I liked was very kind of like anime was what's it called? Bots Masters, which was kind of cool. It was like a kid who like had all these bots and he like make them, and then like they were just like based on some type of sport. So like there's the golf bot and then the baseball bot, but then they would use those like as like their ability or to fight like the bad dudes.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought you were
nice.
talking about Gunsmith Cast, which was also really good. This was like a manga that was
Guns.
again, manga and American media has always had co-influence, and honestly, manga even back to Tezuka was heavily influenced by Western media and by Disney. Tezuka's, Astro Boy, the grandfather of manga. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't read any of Tezuka's work outside of Astro Boy, I highly recommend it. Check out Otakuri Hito and MW. Because most of his work outside of probably Blackjack and Astro Boy is very mature. It has like this weird cartoony style that it's the same drawing style, but it's like super messed up, super mature, all kinds of like weird fucked up shit happening, people transforming, being like drugged up, and all kinds of medical things happening because he was an actual
Nice.
doctor. Otakuri Hito followed a man who caught this disease that was going around that would turn you into like basically looking like a werewolf, and he traveled the world trying to find the cure and stuff. And MW, it's really interesting. A lot of Tezuka's work has like his expertise as a doctor really shows through, because in MW the story revolves around like this little kid who got basically fucked up by this poisonous gas and became a serial killer, like a psycho. And a priest and this priest who has known this kid since he was little basically took it upon himself to try and find this like serial killer kid who had grown up and became a psycho and try to stop him, which is super interesting because Naoki Urasawa, who is a huge Tezuka fan, created Monster, one of my favorite series. You should also check out Naoki Urasawa's work, Monster and 21st Century Boys. Monster is absolutely brilliant, Monster is actually set in Germany. It stars a Japanese doctor who works in Germany who is on the hunt for a serial killer who he saved as a child. When the serial killer was a child, he saved his life, and then this kid grew up to be a complete psycho, so he's like, what should I do? Should I repent for what I did? I have to stop this person. Anyway, sorry. I really like Tezuka. And my point is that there has always been a lot of co-influence between the East and West, and Gunsmith Cast is actually a really good series as well. I read this in like middle school or something, and it's set in America. It's set in Chicago, and it's about a couple girls who are they're kind of gunsmiths, mercenaries, and they get into a lot of like all kinds of weird, crazy stuff with nefarious personalities. It's great.
That's cool. Guns.
Nobody knows what I talked about for the last 5 minutes, but
I'm gonna check
it's
it out.
good. I'm trying to recommend really good manga that I think Westerners would like, because you need to have a fairly large breadth, or I think a lot of people don't know what to recommend to Westerners or what to recommend as introductory manga or anime. I don't think people who grew up with Western media would like what somebody who grew up a weeb basically would like. But I think stuff like Gunsmith Cats or probably Berserk, Vinland Saga is also really good. And stuff like Gunsmith Cats, Black Lagoon is another good one. These are things that Americans would like. I don't think they would like Naruto or even My Hero Academia. That's just not the style of most people who come from here. Anyways. Yes.
Sweet.
Sim is in chat. Gunsmith Cast is really good. Okay, that's my manga recommendation, manga talk for today. Back to Shadow Century. I apologize.
What about Battle Angel Alita?
I go on little rants about these things. Yes, Battle Angel Alita. I think so. I think Westerners would definitely like that. Well, Battle Angel Alita, Akira, and Ghost in the Shell are one of the, and also Appleseed are one of those series where I think most Westerners already know about.
Love
But
that.
you come across a lot of people in the West who are like, I like those, but I don't like the rest of manga. No, there's a lot of other good stuff out there, and like I don't even like manga as a whole. It's not like if it's manga then I love it. I mean, there's a lot of weird, degenerate, and like terribly drawn shit out there too, just like in the West. But there's also a lot of really good series that, because why I like to recommend, the reason I like to recommend manga and to Westerners, it's not just because I grew up with it and I know more about it and I want more people to read what I've read so I can actually have something to talk about with everybody. But at the same time, I think Japan really exemplifies a healthy comics industry. And I think we have a lot to learn from it. And I'm not saying that Western creators need to start drawing like manga or we should copy them. I don't think so. I think American comics and Western comics have their own style, their own storytelling style, and their own stories to tell that are beautiful. And we should stick to what's original about American comics and what are our values. But there's a lot about the business model and a lot of creative tendencies that we can learn from. So I want to see more cultural interchange. And the more you broaden your horizons, the better you are as a creator in general, regardless of where you come from. And I think this comic right here exemplifies that, wouldn't you say?
I think
I
so.
would.
I would recommend it.
Yeah, I would too. I would too. We have been going on for a really long time. I just looked at the clock. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Did I tell you that when I get rolling, I stream for way too long and I talk too much and I lose track of time. And also I've been drinking, so my apologies. But cheers. I will finish this shot.
Cheers.
It's all good.
Thank you, everyone, for backing Shadow Century. Let me refresh one more time. And I think, oh, it went up again!
Oh, nice.
Yes!
2 more. You got
Awesome.
2 more.
So
there.
we are staying until 18,000, right? We're gonna be here
I
all
actually
night.
have to head off now, personally, but
Okay.
it's been a heck of a ride. I've enjoyed it a lot.
This was a great discussion. I think this was a really good stream. I really appreciate you guys being here. But it's about time. We've been here for almost 3 hours at this point, so I think I will let you guys go. But
I mean,
this
don't
was
make me
massive.
feel like you've got to wrap it up. I mean, if you want to stay for another 4 hours, Eric, I can understand. It's all good.
I think that as much as we all hate sleeping, or I hate sleeping, and I have a completely fucked up vampire schedule, I do think that at some point we have to wrap this up. But
It's all good.
No, this was hella fun. This was awesome, and I hope that everybody in chat who's watching, we have 141 people watching. This was the reason for the stream today. We are here today with Clayton Barton and Eric Ninaltowski, the creators of Shadow Century, that is currently live on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and Fund My Comic. And the Indiegogo link is in the description. And if I could please get some links to the Fund My Comic and Kickstarter from my mods as well in the chat, that would be really great. We're almost at 18,000 for this book. It looks really, really good. And if you missed the earlier pitch, and the first hour of the show was all just talking about Shadow Century. So if you want to rewind and watch that, then definitely do that because this book looks amazing. But do you want to give everyone a really quick rundown one more time about what Shadow Century is about?
For sure. So Shadow Century is my attempt at making some sort of cool, like X-Men type superhero team book. But instead of being mutants, they have near-death experiences. And when they come back from the other side, they bring back a piece of the supernatural or the eternal with them. So you have the Hellborn and the Highborn, and they just kind of go at it. That's the regular series. That's the universe that I've built here. With Shadow Century Origins, I'm going back to the beginnings of 2 characters, Hopscotch and Commander Noble. I've gotten Clayton to do the breakdowns and layouts for me to speed up the process. I've gotten Mark Polton to do the script, and we're just having a great time doing it. So I'm halfway done with the inks on the hopscotch story, and then I got to do the Commander Noble story. So the wheels are turning, and we're just putting out great work, and I hope you guys will back it. And yeah, so there you go. Awesome stuff.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Look
Well
at this
done, Eric.
beautiful art. That was well done, and well done on the art as well as that pitch, as this campaign. Look at this art. This looks so good. Oh my gosh. I love it. So dynamic and so beautiful. Everybody, you have to check this out right now. Are you doing, if you had to search, ask, are you doing an origin story for all the characters? That's a good question.
I mean, eventually I would like to get to all of them, yeah. But as long as you guys back it and support it, I will keep making them. So, for sure.
Oh yeah. So you should back it so we can get more of this.
For sure. Just look at
More of
this. Beautiful.
Yeah. And this this Origins is about, it's 2 stories. One is about hopsquash. Hopsquash. I can't talk anymore. I've had like 5 shots. Hopscotch. Why don't you introduce your characters instead of me?
No worries. And then Commander Noble.
There you go.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can get you have the Highborn special here, but all kinds of tiers with a bunch of variant covers and other stories that are already done. So check it out right now.
Yeah. And
Heck
just so you guys know, so Hopscotch story takes place in Japan, but then we got also Commander Noble from his origin takes place in Afghanistan. So 2 parts of the world, some cool stories, lots of blood will be spilled, and it'll be great. So hope you will join the fun.
Yeah, TPPT. Is that? I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. Just saw the art. Who is the artist? This art, the interiors are layouts by Clayton, and inks and finishes by Eric. So we are here with the artists of these interior pages. It looks awesome, doesn't it? So if you haven't backed it, then you definitely should. I mean, we're not just here to wax poetic about current culture and all kinds of weird, like, cultural and political shit. We're here to sell some comics. That was what the first hour was. So let's circle back and, like, this is occasion for the day. Backing this book with this beautiful interior art. Check this out, guys. Yeah, we are here with the artists themselves. So the link is in the description again if you haven't seen it yet. And please go take a look. I want to see this comic hit all its funding goals. I want to see more of those stretch goals. That would be fantastic. I'm going to get through some super chats. If you guys had to go, that's totally fine. I just want to make sure I catch all the super chats. And then I'll play the trailer again and wrap up for tonight. Okay?
Well, I'm going to bid farewell to you wonderful people now. Thank you to the chat for having us tonight. Thank you, Eric Ninaltowski, for involving me in this wonderful project. It's been an honor to work on it, and I hope to work with you again on many future. But yeah, it must be surreal to actually see it all come together and get it funded now. You should be proud of what you have created and accomplished. And of course, Rini, it's always a pleasure. Really enjoyed our conversation tonight. We shared some good ideas, some good words, and we'll have to do it again soon.
Definitely. It was a great discussion. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people follow you?
You can follow me at How to Draw Comics on Twitter. It's also one word. And also on YouTube as well. And of course, my website, www.howtodrawcomics.net. And we've got BartonBroStudios.com too. Sign up to the email list on both sites, and we'll be able to keep in touch. All right. Till next time, everybody. I'll catch you later.
Catch you later. Bye, Clayton. Bye-bye. We did have a good discussion. That was great. Had a couple of shots. No, it's fine. You got family, so it's totally fine. Why is your name an exclamation mark? Are you turning into
just because I didn't want the big red part to be so big because my name is really long. So I'm like, the white part's smaller.
You need to come up with like just say Eric or come up with a pen name or something. I sympathize with the long Polish name. Trust me. Yeah. I understand. Okay. I've had to talk to like contract. I've been like booking because I mentioned I have a bunch of like house problems right now. I've had to book contractors. I've had to talk to insurance. I've had to spell my name like 5 times just today. And that's 5 times. That's about 4 times too many for my daily tolerance. It's really annoying. Oh my! I should just go by my Chinese name. Anyways, it's like 3 syllables. But anyways, okay. Let me get through these super chats and then we'll wrap up. Please, we've been going for a while, and I don't want to let. Oh, you changed it to end. There you go. That's
There you
perfect. Oh, is that a hint? Do you want me to end right now?
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's how I sign my artwork.
Oh, those are your Eric Ninaltowski draws? Is that what it stands for?
So David is my middle name, so I just put it on the end. So Eric Ninaltowski David. It's like a monogram.
Oh, interesting. All right, I like that very much. All right, let me get through these chats. Dango Solo. I read that as well. Thank you for that $10. Eric Winberg for 2. What in Comicsgate have I stumbled into? You have stumbled into the most awesome promo show in Comicsgate. That's what you stumbled into. Thank you very much for the 2, Eric. Muffler Tape. Is that right? Muffler Tape. Yes, for 10. Says, Rini, good job informing. Pretty well done. Also, go Vikings and Vinland Saga. Yes. Cheers to that. I think I finished my shot, but cheers. There you go. Vinland Saga is an absolutely amazing comic series. It's a manga, but drawn by Makoto Yukimura. It is more it's historical fiction, because there's a lot of things about the Viking Age where it's just not on record, but it's more accurate than almost anything I've seen from the West, and it's very interesting because a lot of the things I've seen from the West, like the actual Vikings show that is titled Vikings, is not historically accurate in any way, shape, or form, especially now. Even starting out, it wasn't like totally accurate. But now it's like gone off the rails because of current culture. But anyways, Vinland Saga is just really impressive how much research the creator did. Like, I think he actually did a tour of Scandinavia to do research on the culture. But more importantly, the characterization and the writing is really good. Like, it feels like this is like it's literature. It's one of those really good manga series. I think it's going to become a classic in the future. It's just as good as something like Berserk, and a lot better than a lot of the other classics. So seriously, check out Vinland Saga if you haven't yet. Also, there's a lot of like really bloody fight scenes, and I know everybody loves that. That's always good to have. Eric Winberg for 2. Thank you. Catching up. Nice rant, Rainy. Sante? Is that cheers in another language? Sante. My glass is, I've drank all this. I don't want to get more drunk tonight. I'm trying to control myself, but cheers. And thank you. Jimmy Reyes, 2 more backers and Dragon Rage will have 500. I just wanted to shout that out because Jimmy Reyes is a friend of the channel, and he's my co-host on my monthly Small Creators Roundtable. So everybody go check out Dragon Rage and help Dragon Rage get to 500 backers. Mr. Burger, what's up? Mr. Burger's awesome. For 5, thank you so much. This book looks great. It does. May the power of John Malin's eyebrows bring you great success and prosperity. So I know Mr. Burger has started a religion based around John Malin's eyebrows. I'm not quite sure how that works, but if you're curious, you can always go ask Mr. Burger. Thank you so much for the $5. And yes, this book looks great. And I hope you will consider supporting it. Support Shadow Sentry if it tickles your fancy. Thank you. Christopher Gorey for $4.99. Thank you. A really good discussion tonight. I agree. This was a really good discussion. I really did enjoy it. I wasn't expecting it, but we had a good time. Eric Wenberg for 5. Again, thank you. Can't say, but dang, Rini, what a rant. I did a few. I did a few. I got a little unhinged, didn't I? I need to calm down. Can we get a mashup with you singing? No. I'm not drunk enough yet. The other night was an anomaly. I'm not a singer. I know I suck at it. I will never do it again. I regret everything. Alice VRB for 2. Thank you. I tag you in some Shadow Sentry promo art. Ooh, okay, let's take a look.
Sweet.
Alex is one of the best memers on this channel. So let me go on my Twitter and take a look at what he has sent and see. He usually makes some hilarious memes. Let me go take a look. Let me see. That'll be a great way to close this out, wouldn't it? I hope it's... What? Oh, this is hilarious. Oh my gosh. I was like, is it like not suitable for work? As I scroll on my timeline, all of a sudden there's like a bunch of weird NSFW stuff. And I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? I'd follow like normal comic stuff. Okay, anyways, it's fine. This is safe for work. Okay. Don't judge me. Here we go. Take a look at this. Oh, that's great. Holy
That's awesome.
shit. That's perfect. Hey, I could
Very
probably
nice.
cosplay her. She's half Japanese. She's half Asian and half American as well. So
Yeah,
I should
that's
totally.
awesome.
That would be a perfect cosplay. Holy crap! All right. On that
Well
note,
done.
well done, Alex. Well done. All right. I think I got all the super chats. I also must now go and thank you again for the memes, for the super chats, for the good times. But I actually have work to do because I work all night because I don't have a normal schedule. I am a vampire. But I'm gonna play the trailer for Shadow Century once more to close us out, and then I will bid you all adieu. Thank you again for being here, Eric. This
Thank
was
you, Reed.
awesome. Thank you for sticking around for 3 fucking hours. You really didn't have to do that, but I really appreciate it. I know I get way too into things.
Thank you. No,
Thank you
all
so
good.
much. And your
That was
book
fun.
looks amazing. Your book looks so good. You should be funding at like 50,000 or more. I really, really think so. I think,
Thank you.
how much? Oh, you're in demand now. One last question. How much longer do you think you'll be in demand?
I like to leave it open until I get ready to go to print. So, I mean, I expect to go to print around the end of the year, November, December. So, got some time, but don't wait too long.
Okay, awesome. So it will be in demand for a while, but not forever. So
Yeah.
you have a few more months to back it. Everyone should back it now. All right, and everyone can follow you
On Twitter at Eric Ninaltowski Art. EricNinaltowskiArt.com is my website where it has all my links. So you could just go there. A one-stop shop.
Awesome. All right. Much appreciated. Once again, I will play the trailer and then I'll play a little bit of my outro and then we will be off. I will release all of you into the ether.
Thank you, chat.
Good.
Fun.
Thank you guys. You guys are great. And thank you everybody who bought the book and thank you for the links, my awesome mods. You guys are great. All right, here we go. The trailer. One more time. Not that tab. This one. I'm a professional.
Unhappy, uneasy, dissatisfied. There is a great disturbance, causing affliction to this frail and broken mind.